A warm welcome aboard the AM show, day 2 of the month. And of course, we're sailing into it. I hope it turns out to be a wonderful day for you. Our apologies for the late start. Technical issues here and there. We hope you actually accept our apology. But coming up this morning, we're going to be serving you the news, and right after which we'll be joined by Maxwell Lukuto, the NDC's parliamentary candidate-elect for South Tong. He will join us for the news review. And then we get into sports, and today Mubarak Haruna will join us for sports, after which we'll get into our big stories. In 2 days, Ghana, for delegates of the governing New Patriotic Party will meet to elect a new flag bearer for the party. More than 200,000 members will elect one of the 4 candidates to lead the party into the 2024 general elections. Today we'll discuss the issues with Eko Asefua. He's Member of Parliament, Old Tafo, and member of Dr. Bawumia's campaign team. We also have academic political scientist at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asah-Asante, together with Dr. Christopher Ampedu, a political analyst at the Pentecost University. Now, moving away from the politics, we'll now get into that bit concerning Ghana and South Africa signing that agreement for a visa waiver regime for holders of ordinary passports. Now, here's what it means. The agreement will allow nationals of both countries visa-free entry for business and touristic purposes. Eligible individuals must hold an ordinary valid passport or a valid ordinary passport, and the maximum period of stay is 90 days within a 12-month period. We've got this on our plate as well as we look at what the other dynamics are. But also on the show today, the University of Ghana School of Law is thrilled to announce its 2023 Alumni Homecoming, a much-anticipated event that brings together distinguished alumni, faculty, students, and the wider legal community. We're expecting you to show up as well if you've passed through and you celebrate that rich heritage. Well, we'll bring you details of that later on the show. We've also got a conversation on Big Chef. Oh yeah, how do you fare in the kitchen? Well, we'll be telling you about the host officers from GNOBS Multimedia on the show today. On that note, Ghana 4, let's stay tuned. Up next, we serve you the news. Thank you for staying for the news. And our first story. The resilience of Lake Bosomtwe, the biggest natural lake in West Africa, is at risk of climate change and other human activities, according to a research by scientists from the University of Energy and Natural Resources. Based on a 1986 baseline study, the research discovered a sharp decline in water levels, reduction in size of the lake, and decline in fish population. Ohiming Teria reports that residents along the lake are worried about the findings of the researchers and want immediate action to save the lake.
Believed to have been formed by a falling meteorite, Lake Bosomtwe measures about 8 kilometers in diameter, covering a surface area of about 52 kilometers. The lake has since 1.2 million years ago seen its depth decrease from 800 meters to 78 meters maximum, currently with the surface area reduced from 52 kilometers in 1986 to 46 kilometers in 2020. Fish stock has over the years reduced, resulting in few catches for communities along the lake, whose mainstay is fishing. The development has forced many residents to divert to crop farming, which involves clearing the lake's forest cover. The use of weedicides and pesticides also pollute the lake's environs. 77-year-old Patrick Elliott Ofosu is one of the worried residents seeking answers to the warming and shrinking of Lake Bosomtwe.
Some years back, about 25 years ago, the whole of this area was part of the lake. So, as we see it yourself, the lake is going back, it's receding.
This used to be the landing area for boats plying on the Lake Bosomtwe. But with time, the water has receded, leaving this natural land in between the landing area and the lake.
Sediments including organic matter and silt associated with human activities and erosion, are said to have built up underneath the biggest natural lake in West Africa. Dubbed Building Resilience of Lake Bosomtwe to Climate Change, scientists from the University of Energy and Natural Resources, in partnership with their overseas counterparts from 3 institutions, are seeking to build the lake's resilience.
We don't know the current and the future consequences of this for the people and also for the lake itself as a biosphere reserve. So that is the reason why RELAB came in, to understand to what extent climate is having an impact on the lake and the lives of the people, and how the people are also responding to the changes, and what are the consequences of that response.
The researchers discovered the size of the lake is shrinking, with the surface area decreasing from 52 kilometers square to 47.17 kilometers square. There has also been unprecedented decline in the water levels, fish catch, and forest cover of the lake as a result of human activities since 1986. The use of harmful agricultural inputs by farmers in their quest to feed their families has been identified as one of the negative practices impacting on Lake Bosomtwe. Dr. Peter Samfo is project coordinator.
From what we have gathered so far, we know that the lake is drying up, and it's mainly because of climate change. From 2005, we have seen that there's a rapid loss of water, or a rapid recession of the water mark. From the shoreline to the water mark, there's been some kind of 35-meter shrinking of the lake. So it is real that the lake is shrinking. We have found that indeed the climate is having an effect. The lake is not behaving the way that it used to do in the past. Fish catches have been going down. The people's livelihoods have been affected, and their agricultural activities have intensified as a result of their quest to support their livelihoods from farming.
Dr. Samfo says there could be dire consequences if no action is taken. The team continues to research the impact human activities and climate change could have on the lake, as both closed and open forest cover of Lake Bosomtwe are targeted.
Our responsibility is to conduct the research and generate the data, and to engage, transfer this data to the policymakers, who have to then incorporate that data into action plans.
Environmentalists are recommending pragmatic measures to be put in place to arrest the current state of Lake Bosomtwe, to preserve the integrity of the lake, so that the unborn generation can also experience the natural state of Lake Bosomtwe left behind by forefathers.
The whole of this place was waterlogged some years back. But look at the speed of receding. So something must be done.
From Lake Bosomtwe, my name is Ohimi Interior for Joy News.
Well, in our next story, traders at the racecourse market in the Ashanti region are worried about the increasing armed attacks in recent times. They say these robbers break into their shops and ransack their wares on a daily basis. They want the authorities to come to their aid with adequate security.
The market woman at the racecourse market laments the poor security and the trauma of coming under armed attacks.
The robbers are really troubling us. Just this week, we were attacked.
Hajia, who sells herbal plant products, says one trader had her shop broken into by the robbers on Monday.
Our colleague is currently at the hospital. They stole from her and attacked her.
The traders also observed a deliberate act of defecating around their trading space on a regular basis.
The robbers also defecate here after stealing from us.
Some commercial drivers operating at the racecourse market are unhappy with the poor sanitation in the area despite the daily fee charged to them for sanitation services. According to them, ever since they moved from Kejetia to the racecourse yard, authorities have neglected their needs. Chairman of Manson Quanta Drivers Group at Racecourse Market, Nana Poku, says the authorities need to justify the daily sanitation fees collected from the drivers.
We are really suffering here. Sanitation is really a problem. You always find filth around the lorry station. What I told you, the authorities use the money charged for.
Now, the acting dean of the School of Nursing and Midwifery at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has observed limited higher education for nursing professionals in Ghana. Professor Veronica Millicent Jomeku believes this situation is hampering the country's quality healthcare delivery. There is more in this report.
School. Professor Veronica Millicent Jomeku expressed that the school is going to run some new programs in the new academic year. She observed that higher education for nurses and midwives in the country is very limited.
As a school of nursing and midwifery, we have been a department of nursing for 20 years. During this period, we have introduced new programs like BSc Midwifery, BSc Critical Care, BSc Public Health Nursing, and postgraduate programs in nursing. Now we are looking forward to starting an MPhil program in midwifery, MPhil, a PhD in midwifery, and then a PhD in nursing. As you heard earlier on, nursing and midwifery education started only in University of Ghana, and it took a long time for KNUST. It's only 20 years ago that KNUST came on board. And so that means that higher education in nursing, the opportunities for higher education in nursing have been very limited. And so in the same vein, attracting faculty with higher degrees have been a very big challenge since until recently a master's in nursing or midwifery was not available in country, and so anybody who attained it had to travel outside the country for it.
Vice Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Lydia Aziato, encouraged the school to equip students with the needed skill to boost the country's healthcare delivery.
Please make every effort to ensure that the student you are graduating is a safe nurse, a safe midwife. I beg you. All of us can be the patients one day, and that person you graduated who was not skilled will be the one taking care of you.
She also emphasized the need for the nurses to be taught how to be empathetic.
The nurse can be very, very intelligent. Concepts, rational, the knowledge, excellent. Even the skill is top-notch. But within our context, if the way you communicate, the way you approach the care in totality, holistically, doesn't meet the emotional aspects, please, for me, it's so zero. So our training of nurses and midwives in the country, across the university, not only KNUST, must remember that the care concept is a human discipline. And a human, apart from the technical, we also need to handle the emotional aspects, the psychological aspects.
In our next story, the Executive Secretary of the Public Regulatory Commission, Dr. Ishmael Aka, says his outfit is working closely with utility companies to improve their performance in order to satisfy their customers. Now, speaking in Wa after an engagement with students of Nusrat Jahan Ahmadiyya College of Education, he disclosed that the Ghana Utility Performance Index, which was introduced by the PURC, has brought out the best in the companies. Rafiq Salam now reports.
The past few months, the Public Regulatory Commission, PURC, has been engaging stakeholders on the need to conserve energy and also for them to know their rights and responsibilities. Their focus now is on tertiary students, where they educate them on the tariff process, understand the efficiency mechanisms, and be ambassadors at their various homes to educate the people around them on the work of the PURC. Executive Secretary of the PURC, Dr. Ismail Aka, in an interview with the media after an engagement with students of the Nasrajan Ahmadi College of Education, noted that the engagement will also give students the opportunity to ask questions and recommendations in order for them to have an efficient water and electricity sector.
Yes, we believe that some students in the rented accommodation, they pay their own electricity bills. Some of them are in dormitories where the bills are charged on them as part of their fees. So they are very important stakeholder. Again, these are College of Education students. We see that very soon they are going into the world to be teachers. So if we educate them, chances are that they can also educate others and spread the word. So this is why PURC is focusing on educating students this year. However, we are also working with workers, with market women and other groups so that together we all understand what we do as a regulator. And even if you have a complaint, the processes you can go through to reach us.
Dr. Ismail Aka expressed satisfaction over the engagement held so far with the tertiary institutions, praising the students for the questions posed.
So the good thing is that they are asking very intelligent questions. One on how the tariff is even approved, whether it will ever come down or to go up, and some of these efficiency mechanisms. Some of the concerns also border on quality of service, that why should I pay, but maybe if the light is going off, they don't tell me, and so many other things.
Well, that's how we cap off the news this morning. Up next, we'll serve you the news review. Thank you very much for staying with us. Time now for us to get into the news review. This segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And here's what they're offering you. We've entered the month of November, Men's Health Month, Prostate Awareness Month, and look forward to what we're going to be bringing you as far as prostate awareness is concerned. But Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free, gratis. You won't pay a thing. If you're a woman, fertility screening, and you will not pay a farthing. You will not pay anything, not a peswa. And that's because of the health challenges many people are coming up with in these two areas. So why don't you make tracks to any of their offices, any of their branches? Here's where you can locate them. If you're here in Accra, they are at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. If you're in Kumasi, Kronum Abuehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex. If you are in Takra, the Anaji Estate is where you can find them. If you are in Tema, they are located in Community 22. There's also Techiman Hanswa and Esiama Nzema. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Remember, your health is your wealth. Now, to help us in today's newspaper review, we have Maxwell Lukuto. He is Member of Parliament. Well, I keep saying that, but of course, where he finds himself as candidate, it's almost a foregone conclusion. It's like having someone elected in a primary in Bantama or some other area. But he is the candidate elect for the NDC in South Tongue. Maxwell Lukuto, good morning. You would have to unmute for me, Maxwell.
Good morning, my brother. I hope you are doing good.
I am okay. Every morning we wake up, no matter the circumstances, we thank God. Once you are alive, at least you are able to move about. Yes, oh sorry, na muje di efrusani wo mu In other words, if you wake up and blood is flowing through your body, you have your tongue in your mouth, you can speak, you thank God. So we thank God. In my line of work, without a tongue, I can't do what I do. So I thank God for that. Today, there are quite a number of things I want us to cover. So as much as possible, let's go straight to the point on the issues we're going to discuss. But as always, I start with your constituency, where you are hoping to be Member of Parliament. In recent times, the VRA has come by, especially towards the Mepe area. Fumigation has started. There are still outpourings of love through donations. The last time I heard, the Ningo Prampram MP, he was here with me yesterday. He mentioned that he had communicated with some people. They had brought sanitary cloths or pads to some of the girls, because while we've been donating water and foodstuffs and everything, we've forgotten that some of them, the menses does not stop because a disaster has happened. So all of those have been coming in. But for those in your community, for those in the catchment areas, what is the latest you can tell us about their status, how they are living?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to you, listeners, viewers, especially those from our constituency, South Tong and the Tong Enclave, South Central and North. We are grateful that the water has receded significantly, and it's coming with its accompanying issues. No serious health issues have yet been reported widely, but we are envisaging that some of these few things will come up. Like I said earlier, people got some reaction from bathing directly from the water. We are aware that it is not safe for them to drink directly from it. And so we are doing our best to supply a lot of sachet water to most communities, because those who have not been directly affected by the floods entering their homes and others as well need safe water to drink. And so most of the sachet water we are also getting donated are from people outside the immediate environs of the constituency. Those who rely directly on the Volta River also to produce the pure water are being some to us. For instance, yesterday, Whole Central Constituency was here with some of the executives, and some members from some branches came here to support us with some number of sachet water that will be distributing this money to people who really need it. Seriously, we need a lot of this sachet water, like I indicated last week. And so those who be coming, we pray and hope that they will bring us more. Every community is demanding for this sachet water, and so that's what we are producing. The fumigation, like you have stated, yes, they are doing some few places, especially the public places like the Kumboni Hospital and the school. Those are very critical places for us that need serious fumigation. And I hear whether Zoom Lion or VRA, there's that controversy whether it was a contract from VRA or a Zoom Lion who is doing it as a corporate social responsibility. We are yet to tell, but at the end of the day, all we wanted is that these places are fumigated and they are made usable by our people. And so thankfully, these things are receding, but the looming issue ahead of us is the hunger and the famine that we may be experiencing soon, because most of these farms are inundated with the flood, and after the water has receded, you realize that everything is dead on the farm. The Vegetable Farmers Association, the Petty Farmers Association, and so most of these things are gone, and that's our worry. So those who can give us food for the next 3 months, 6 months, we'll be grateful to them. We are grateful to people. TV3 has also come through with a lot of donations being kept around. So over this weekend, they will come over and do the distribution. So we're looking for more public-spirited companies and groups to come to our aid and to give us, to help us alleviate the plight of our people.
And that is indeed the case. This is a national crisis. It's not a regional crisis. It's not a crisis limited to the Tong Enclave, the South Central North Tong. No, it's something that all of us have to contribute to, and we're all contributing our quota. But on the matter of health, I think there was a time when you mentioned bilharzia, and then you just mentioned that, on the back of health issues, there's nothing really that is going on. But even as we try to get these people back in their homes, yesterday, Sam George told me that, look, it'll be impossible for most of these people to come back to their homes because the water carried fecal matter from cesspits and all of that, and people's houses and all of that. I mean, the internal parts water, fecal matter, rubbish. It's swept across cemeteries and all of that. All of these have been picked up. Will the fumigation be enough for people to inhabit these places again? That's the question. What do you think? Briefly, some 30 seconds on that.
No, I don't think immediately people can inhabit those homes, but gradually I'm sure that the stench and all those things will go away and people may have to do a lot of renovation in these homes. That's why we will need the support of government and VRA to help people to clean up these places very thoroughly, because it's even the trauma, the psychological trauma alone is enough to keep people off these homes for a long time.
Right.
Especially who were there and the flood just came in and took over. It's a lot of trauma wanting to go back and resettle at those places. But unfortunately, because there are no places that they can conveniently be, most of them will be forced to want to go back. And that's the situation in France. But immediately, I don't think people can inhabit those homes. After a month or two thereabout, I'm sure with a lot of cleaning, repainting, cleaning, and all those things, I'm sure they may want to go back. Because half a loaf definitely is better than that. If you are sleeping in the open air and then your home is just there, you can clean and do some touches to it and go back. Why not? So I'm sure they would want to do those things.
Right. Let's get into the papers now. And the NPP, we'll start with the Daily Graphic. NPP inches towards showdown. Showdown has become, part of our political rhetoric now. And there's also NCA NMC launch broadcast complaints platform. 2024 budget. Issa wants prudent spending. And then graphic FBN Bank to support businesses on AFTA. On the back page, Hearts stun Midiama 3-1 in thriller. Hearts evoke placing 13th after having played 7 games with 9 points. And of course, let me see where Midiama is. Midiama 11th, also having played 7 matches with 10 points. But if you look at the league log, you'd see that even the team on top, Aduana FC, has played 8 matches with 15 points. So very little to separate many of these teams at the top of the league. Aduana and Bofuakwa's unbeaten run, and that was on the back of the brilliance of striker Isaac Minte's hat trick. But let's get into the major stories. What was considered a foregone event has become a highly anticipated contest that promises a showdown in every sense as 4 candidates head into Saturday's final stage of the presidential primary of the new Patriotic Party. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who emerged a dominant force in the initial round in the race to lead the party into the 2024 general election, is facing what political watchers view as a major test, coming face-to-face with a Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ohene Agyapong. Former Food and Agriculture Minister Dr. Wusu Efri-Akoto and former MP for Mampong in Ashanti region, Francis Adainimo. Such are the dynamics within the projections that Dr. Bawumia's solid performance in the earlier round may count for little as the party heads into a stage that involves 220,000 party delegates, as opposed to the 923 delegates that gave him 68% endorsement on August the 26th. Now, just to give you a bit of a background, you together with our viewers. According to a poll by Global Info Analytics, a market research company, Dr. Bawumia is still in the lead. His closest contender, according to the poll, remains Mr. Agyapong, a businessman cum politician, whom the opposition NDC, as the NDC's Director of Legal Affairs, Godwin Eduji Tamaklo, has described as a more formidable challenge to the NDC's 2024 elections prospects. There are other surveys that have also emanated, some giving the Vice President a lead of about 80.8%. A UK-based entity did that. But like we all recall from Sir John, fear delegates. We've seen that time and again. 900 plus people voted, 923 in the super delegates, and for the Vice President, giving him that endorsement. But this time we're talking over 200,000 people. And the question is whether the Vice President can cross the Rubicon. I don't know what your take is. Yesterday, Sam George told me that he would actually prefer for Dr. Bawumia to win because it will be cool chop for the NDC. What do you think?
Yeah, I have insisted from the beginning that this is much ado about nothing. Whoever they bring, I'm sure the NDC is solid and waiting for them and to literally kick their balls. Even if 4 of them are brought together to contest JD, I'm sure that you're going to floor all of them. But at the end of the day, you see Bawumia being seen as a system candidate, and everything and anything is working towards he winning these primaries. And so I have no shadow of doubt that at the end of the day, he would emerge the winner. Dr. Bawumia definitely would emerge the winner. I don't see what much Kennedy Agyapong can do to outwit him. The skills are tilted so badly towards Dr. Bawumia. And so if you hear Dr. Francis Adanimo, he tells you that there's so much disunity because of the way the things have been done from day one till now. And then if you listen to Professor Mensah, he will tell you that all these candidates are very, very weak. And this is the weakest pair he's ever seen in his life. And like I said, well, whoever wins, Bawumia, Kennedy Agyapong, Akoto says he will win, Adanimo says he will stunt them. So let's see how it goes. But at the end of the day, I believe that Dr. Bawumia will win. I'm not sure about the 80.8% that is being given to him, though, because what we hear from the ground is that they see him to be the weakest link. Even though he will win, they feel that the NDC will have a walk over him more easily than maybe Kennedy Agyapong. And so for me, I believe that he's going to win. But as for breaking the 8, our belief is that they are breaking at 8. There's disunity is so much that I don't see them coming back very easily, turning things around economically, and then making any waves in the 2024 election. Seriously, I really don't see how that is going to happen. A lot of the watchers say that he has turned to from an economist now to a digitalization expert. You don't hear him talk about the economy any longer.
Well,
like he used to.
Digitization leads to digitalization and monetization of the economy.
Oh, okay. So you also support this idea of drifting from the...
I'm just telling you what is said. But actually, factually, you can also see that digitizing your economy can lead to economic gains. So you cannot run away from that. I do agree that on the standpoint of the economy, as head of the economic management team, we're in a very bad place, a terrible place. But I'm just trying to make the point too that you cannot take away everything and say that digitization and digitalization don't work hand in hand in some manner, no matter how small, towards the economy.
I'm not sure that's what I'm saying, but I'm saying that your core expertise is being an economist. And that is what you come to Ghanaians. That is what your trump card was coming to government. And so why would you abandon that? Then he might as well go and take the job of Esla also as a communication minister in Rwanda. But the point is that you are the head of the economic management team. Anything that goes around there, the buck stops with you. And so if you are not able to hold that in check and you now drift to the other side and you make all noise about it, it means that you have lost it all. And we are not going to judge him based on the digitalization, but of course on the basis of the economy. And I'm not sure he has any scorecard to show when it comes to that. And I believe that Ghanaians are going to hold him responsible for all the mess we are going through. As for blaming Ukraine, Russia, and now I'm sure they are blaming the Hamas-Israeli war. I'm not sure that is what is going to help them, but he's just clutching onto straws, and I'm not sure at the end of the day, 2024, we see him to be any match with JDM. And so we wish them all the best, but we just hope and pray that nothing nasty like happening in the Super Delegates Conference happens this time around. We want them to come back in one piece, and so we can beat them to it.
I see some messages coming through. Some I can't read. Philip Emwa says, no can, no vote. He keeps repeating that. Kwesi Fosu, I can't read your message, but you say the NPP something party, never again. And Senior Sly says, in fact, the notorious... Okay, so I can't read your message either. We'll just leave it there. But let's get to page 13. NCA NMC launched broadcast complaints platform. So guess what? The National Communications Authority and the National Media Commission have introduced a media content complaints platform to sanitize the electronic media space and rid it of inappropriate and egregious content. The Broadcast Content Complaints Center will allow citizens who view certain content as inappropriate in any way to report or register their displeasure for redress based on established guidelines. Now, the platform will be accessible to everybody on mobile phone service networks across the country via toll-free number 0800 0800-419-666. That is 0800-419-666. I find it interesting that in there is 419. Anyway, and on to the next story. 2024 budget. ISA wants prudent spending. Now, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research of the University of Ghana has called on the government to use the 2024 budget to introduce policies that will ensure prudent spending, reduce taxes on production, and broaden the tax base. The institute maintained that taxing production excessively was affecting industrial performance, promoting imports and worsening the already high unemployment situation in the country. It explained that high taxes on food and beverages, for instance, were fueling inflation, and therefore a critical review of some of the taxes must be prioritized in the budget statement and economic policy expected to be presented before Parliament on November 15 this year. Just this final bit on lessons. The director of ISA noted that lessons from the painful domestic debt exchange program should inform the country's spending habits going into the 2024 election. If the people vote for you, Maxwell, you could be in the 9th Parliament. So this should be of interest to you. What are your reactions?
Yeah, sure. First of all, let me applaud NCA for taking the steps to make sure that they bring the complaint system closer to the doorsteps of
and the NMC, together with the NMC.
Yeah, the NMC. Bringing the complaint system closer to the doorsteps of everybody. Once people feel content over a program is not the best option, they can report so that they can bring their attention to it. Of course, right. I know that they have the platform where they monitor anything and everything that goes on all of these media spaces. But maybe in more particular things, if people feel that a particular one is of concern, they can report. And so that's a good one. The 2024 budget, yes, of course. This issue of overtaxing has been around for a long time, to the extent that there are betting boys who, out of unemployment, have decided to do some betting, and they are supposed to be paying about 10% on their winning and all that.
Right.
They have complained vehemently, and I'm sure that the institute is just echoing this back to government. Yes, they say you can't always overtax your people to prosperity, and so I'm sure the people at the helm of affairs are the ones who test out these policies prior to their coming to government. But unfortunately, that is what we are seeing them do. They take off some low-hanging fruit like the road tolls that people are easily paying, and now they are putting it on unnecessary things, and a lot of us are complaining. And so if they can look at these things and then redirect their focus and generate more for the use of the country, the better. But as for the overtaxing, I'm not sure it helps anybody in any way. Of course, so companies are going down because when they can't sustain the level of taxation, they may want to fold up, and it affects the number of people they can employ.
Right.
And so this is a good call, and I'm sure that they would want to look at it. So for us going forward, I hope and pray that something positive comes out of this budget that will be read on the 15th of November. We have seen this recurring over and over, and at the end of the day, nothing positive comes out. Now the country seems to be at a standstill. Roads are not being constructed. Nothing is happening. And so the president resorts to flying everywhere he goes because the roads are so bad. And they always declare year of roads, but at the end of the day, you see nothing practically happening on the ground.
Right.
And so I don't know how they are going to turn things around. But we pray and hope that something positive happens, because we cannot throw our hands in despair and look on. We pray and hope that something positive comes out to turn the fortunes of.
We seem to have a frozen connection there, but just adding my voice to the roads situation. There's this bridge. Sam George, Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram, spoke about it yesterday. We gave you visuals of it. I have used that bridge before. It's in a terrible state. Mr. Roads Minister, Kwesi Amwakwata, Mr. President, we're calling on you. And we're saying it here. We don't want to wait till someone dies, a disaster happens. Then we all go there. We flock to that place. Oh, people are dead. It's such a sad situation. We commiserate with the family. Ghana is grieving before we do the work. It's been there for a long time. We saw the footage. If you watched the show yesterday and saw that bridge, the Afienya Dawenya Bridge, terrible. Not even bicycles should use that stretch. People shouldn't even walk on it, but cars are passing on it. So please, Mr. President, if you can, it's a bridge. We hear the roads ministry has secured the plates and the beams, but is left with logistics to fit them. We don't know what the full details are, but we are pleading with you, Mr. President, Mr. Roads Minister, get this done before disaster strikes. Because if disaster strikes, God forbid, we'll not spare you. We are saying it so you can take action now. Right? Let's see whether we have Maxwell Lukoto back. Max, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, right. Let's get a move on. Just on the international front, King Charles III visits war cemetery in Kenya, and he visited a war cemetery in Kenya yesterday, laying a wreath in honor of Kenyans who fought alongside the British in the two world wars, a day after the monarch expressed, quote, greatest sorrow and the deepest regret for the violence of the colonial era. Well, easy for you to say, King Charles, very easy for you to say. You know, recently I was reading something about the Germans also apologizing, was it to the Tanzanians or so? But you literally carved out Africa like a piece of cake. You know, sometimes I get really upset when these foreign powers talk like this. You may be expressing regret and all of that, but look at what you did to us. Look at us. You created false boundaries. You sat in Berlin, carved out the continent and did whatever you did. And now you apologize. While I am not so much for all of these bits when it comes to, yes, some reparation, I feel, ought to be done. Because when you look at the colonizing economies and the benefits they secured from Africa, the gold, the diamonds, look at South Africa, the resources, look at Ghana. Some restitution, some reparation ought to be done. But where I am cautious about it is how lazy our misleaders, African leaders are. Because they don't want to do anything. We have no business as African countries being in the state we are now. Look at Ghana. We have everything under God's son. Look at us. So that is where sometimes I have a bit, because once they get a little money here, then they sit there cool and relax. That's my problem. But anyway, that's it. And also Gambia court sentences soldier to 12 years in prison for leading a foiled coup last year against President Adama Barrow's administration. That's it for the Daily Graphic. Any quick reflections before we move to the Ghanaian Times?
Yeah, sure. So about King Charles, I think that it's time Africans move away from this pity party to sitting their ass down and thinking about doing something positive for ourselves. We have long stayed in this situation of asking the Westerners to come to pity party with us.
Maxwell,
and,
Maxwell, if you can hear me this morning, so I think I've heard you use the B word to refer to certain parts of the male body this morning, and I just heard you use the A word. I can't repeat it, but you said something. I would like you to sanitize your language. It's still very early in the morning, and regardless of the time of day, please, I beg you, some of those terms can't be used on air. So if you'd retract, I'd be grateful. Then you just go on. Please retract and go on.
Okay. I just mean that we sit down. That's what I mean.
Okay. All right.
I mean, we should sit down and re-look ourselves and move forward from this situation of asking people to come and pity with us. That's what I mean. And so for me, it's been long. We should grow over this and look at the way forward. Let's not keep asking them to come over, go to our cemetery, lay wreath, and what doesn't bring to us. For me, it's long time. It's high time we on, yes, and then think about what we can do for ourselves. The earlier we do that, the better. I saw you being passionate about what we can do for ourselves as Ghanaians. We have everything we can think of, but we keep going back to this Westerners, cap in hand, begging for them to drop some points in it for us to come and look at ourselves. It's high time, and the little that they give to us, we mismanage it to the highest degree. We can do things for ourselves. That's what I believe. The little you see Ghanaians, and you see that they are industrious. They can turn things around for themselves. And for me, let us sit down and then really look at these things and move forward. Yes.
The Ghanaian Times newspaper, ensuring sub-regional security, will support Ghana to preserve stability, fight terrorism, criminal groups in West Africa. The German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, says so. But you see, even as all of these are done, even as we received that support from the EU recently, the over 100 vehicles and all of that, if you don't, I keep saying, if you don't look at human security, I have studied national security law and practice. The core bits about human security, we've moved away from national security in the sense of militarizing, a state and all of that. human security, ensuring that people have the basics of life, that people can not just survive but thrive, that the economy is good, that education is good, that healthcare is good. If you overlook these, you are sitting on a ticking time bomb. So we can talk all this talk about we'll support you. Niger, they were supported by the West. What happened there? Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea. I'm not saying that same is going to happen here. I'm merely saying that if we don't get our act together, militarizing and the purported support from the West and the East and wherever will not suffice. We need to deal with the people, provide for the people. In my days of studying political science, you deliver the bacon to the people, what the people want. Recently in Rwanda, I followed a story how they are even giving their roads now sidewalks, which are practically like another road for people to exercise and all of that.
Exercise, Rwanda.
Exercise, exercise. So, and they are pristine, looking so good. Here, even the road that your car is traveling on. Anyway, so that is that.
Benjamin, so it's a serious situation. Like you said, even the way our intelligence officers go about some of their work. Look at what is happening in Garu. And people had to be beaten to pulp. Laid, everybody, even a 6-year-old was beaten. So what are you looking for? Guns from people's home, and you think beating a 6-year-old will give you the gun? If you are going for an operation, should it not be intelligent-led? Would you just go and meet anybody and begin to beat? And so for me, whatever the German Chancellor spoke about, the support they are coming to give to us, what are we giving to ourselves? That's the question I keep asking ourselves. Do we have the people who are intelligent enough to lead some of these operations? So for me, yes, we welcome it, but let us get ourselves together, train ourselves, make sure that we deliver best practices so that we can get these things uncovered as easily as possible. Yes, nobody wants terrorism. Nobody wants a coup. Nobody wants a government to be toppled. And so for me, let these operations be intelligent-led, not just that we have lived with all this, that we have lived with all our life. And so let's move away from some of these things and help ourselves better.
All right. Maxwell, we have about 4 minutes. In these next 4 minutes, I want to run some stories by you. There's also government urged to ensure 2024 budget alleviates suffering of Ghanaians. Government presents relief items to Buipe flood victims. And then scrap dealers vandalize and steal ECG switch gears. This is not the first time we're hearing this. It's still ongoing. But I'll focus on page 13. 2 stories there. EC begins voter registration exhibition tomorrow, and the EC will begin the exhibition of the Provisional Voters Register from tomorrow, November 3, to Tuesday, November 7, 2023, at all the 38,622 polling stations across the country. This forms part of preparation towards the conduct of the district-level elections slated for Tuesday, December 19, 2023. And then, National Cathedral Secretariat denies criminality in construction of cathedral. Your take, Maxwell.
Yeah, so about the cathedral thing, it's going back and forth. And yes, let the auditors and then look critically at the books. But for me, so much has gone down the drain, and I don't know how we're going to salvage ourselves out of this situation. Again, asking Ghanaians, coming back to ask Ghanaians to contribute towards building this national cathedral, that we are not too convinced about the benefits thereof that is going to bring beyond tourism, people coming to look at these things and saying that you have a very beautiful cathedral in your country, like we keep referring to other places. I really don't see that this is the best time for us to be talking about this cathedral. The PP relief, yes, we are not too sure whether it's from government, from VRA, like we are seeing at our places. NADMO doesn't have much. VRA gives to them to give to our people. And so whether it's government, whether it's the ministerial committee or whatever it is, I'm not sure whether donating relief items to the affected people is one of the terms of reference given to them by the president. I'm sure that we are growing beyond that, and the more critical things we need will be how to attract the $40 million that we are told will be given to farmers. Because as for the individuals, food and water, we are managing and doing our best. Let's go beyond that about how we can compensate the farmers so that they can get back to their feet. Yes.
All right. The Daily Guide newspaper is, in fact, these 2 papers, Daily Guide and Business Finder. The Daily Guide, talks again about the voter registration exercise, the exhibition, Fremont Parish storming the Savannah region. But what I'll focus on. So there's Nana promises massive Western North development, but Kaswa Corps killer jailed 20 years. And Eric Kojodua, the 37-year-old man who shot and killed 2 uniformed police officers on duty at Budumburam near Kaswa in 2019, has been sentenced to 20 years imprisonment in hard labor by a high court in Accra. My only wonder, 2019, we're in 2023. Sometimes these issues, but of course, sometimes they also look at what term he may have already served and then make the deductions. And then there's Business Finder, target 8 to 10% annual growth to significantly improve livelihoods. That's according to ISA. And then SNIT deepens engagement with informal sector workers. Final words, Maxwell.
Yeah, the Kaswa killer, the cop killer, yes, of course. Some of these things should not, we should not go away without being punished. So it's a good thing that along at the end of the day, it's gotten and being given the best jail sentence or whatever so far. For the voter registration, it's a call to duty for all who have registered in the previous years or even the recent past one to go to this voting centers or the polling centers to make sure that they check the details of their names to ensure that your name is being spelled correctly, especially those who register out of the polling centers, who register at the constituency, the district EC center, to ensure that their names are being appropriately transferred into the place they intend to vote. That's the polling center. How correct their names has been spelled. Those whose names are being eliminated so that they can fill forms and get it back into the roll so that at the day of voting, they will be disenfranchised. So I will call on all and sundry to ensure that they visit their voting centers and ensure that they have gone through the process properly. It's a civic right that we all need to exercise and ensure that at the end of the day, we exercise our right to vote.
Maxwell, grateful for your time as always on a Thursday morning, and we wish you the very best. Please communicate our heartfelt regards to the people in your constituency. We're wishing them the very best. Maxwell Lukuto is candidate-elect for Southton on the ticket of the NDC. He joined us for a conversation. This message comes through. Chris Colioni Ajay says, ask the Europeans to stabilize their countries. We know what is going on there. They should not pretend they care about us. Their fear is the opportunity of making new partners looking at the current multipolar systems. But whether West or East, all of these countries coming have their own interests. We ought to prioritize ours by using what God has given us. Right before we go, 2 birthdays, I want to celebrate Ellen White. Today happens to be your birthday, Impact Maker. You were part of the Impact Makers Challenge, the Joy Impact Makers Challenge. Today is your birthday. Thank you for what you do for God and country. Ellen White, happy birthday to you. Also, this one coming through, it says, happy birthday to Saha Bawa Muyase. You are at the Fountain of Youth International School in Primary 1. May your day be filled with the same joy, love, and happiness you bring into our lives every day. May Allah make you bigger, better, and brighter. May He be the light that guides your path and His love embrace you all the time. Ameen. Okay, so happy birthday to both of you, little Saha and to Ellen White. That's the note on which we cap off the news review. But this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma Abuehian behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama Nzema. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the doorstep of sports up next.
You're still watching the AM show, and it's time for sports with me, Haruna Mubarak. Let's start with the Ghana Premier League, because finally, Hearts of Oak have ended their 4-game winless run with a 3-1 victory against reigning champions Mediama. The Phobians had not won the game since match day 2 triumph over Nswatriman But 2 goals yesterday from Hamza Issa helped Hearts return to winning ways.
Before. That was a Pierre Kubi. He went up for that.
Well, it was the first time this season Hearts have scored more than a goal in a game. Now, head coach Martin Koopman was very pleased with the players.
The last game before this game was also okay, but I think sometimes it was a football show. They like to play football, and yeah, they must wait a long time, but now they see if you are patient, and we did it on the training session, it's coming back in the game. But it asks a lot of the fans, I know, but now you see what can happen in a few weeks.
Yeah, in the last game you played both Ramos, Kashala and also Hamza Issa up front. Today it's repeated that you've scored 3 times. You've never scored more than 1 in a game this season. Do you think you found the antidote to your goal scoring problems?
I hope so. I hope so. It was a pity that Hamza was sick in halftime, so he had a lot of problem with stomach. He must every time to the toilet. I asked, where is Hamza? Yeah, he's again on the toilet. So I must change him, but you see the qualities of Hamza. He has something from Romario. Low on the ground, turn very fast. Yeah, I like him very much. It was a pity that he must change, but all the other one did a very good job.
Well, it was goals galore yesterday as well. Let's check out the results of the other matches as well. You can talk about, yes, so Hearts of Oak, they won by 3 goals to 1. We've got Nations FC, the big winners yesterday. They were 4-0 winners over Royal Tamale United. Dreams FC were stunned at home by Brekum Chelsea. Eduana Stars, they are on top of the table after beating Bofakwa Town of 4-2. And then Karela United, they were held to a 1-1 draw by Bibiani Gold Stars. Samatex were 3-0 winners over Legon Cities, and Bechem United, they defeated Great Olympics by 2 goals to 1. That's your sports here on the AM show. My name is Harun Mubarak, and have a good morning.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to dig into our big stories. And in 2 days, a matter of just 2 days, delegates of the governing New Patriotic Party will meet to elect a new flag bearer for the party. More than 200,000 members will elect one of the 4 candidates to lead the party into the 2024 general election. Today we'll discuss the issue, the surrounding issues, with Eko Asafua, his Member of Parliament, Old Tafo, and a member of Dr. Bawumia's campaign team. We also have the academics, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist, also head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, and Dr. Christopher Ampedu, political analyst, Pentecost University. All of them join us for a conversation. But here in the studio, we have Eko Asafua. Let me find out, for those who are virtually joining the conversation. Good morning, Doc and Doc. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, Dr. Christopher Ampedu, good morning.
And then good morning to your viewers and listeners.
All right. I believe that is Dr. Asah-Asante. All
yes.
Right. Doc, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, Ben.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. All right. Then we have Eko Asafua, Member of Parliament, Old Tafo, member of Dr. Bawumia's campaign team. Thank you very much for joining the conversation.
Most welcome.
All right. So let's get into the conversation this morning. I mean, so many things have happened. And I will start from the standpoint of the Bawumia campaign, why you even joined it. Now, I followed your politics over time, your stint in education and everything in between. And now you are here. Some have found it curious, the gravitation towards Dr. Bawumia versus maybe an Alan Chamating, who has now stepped aside, formed his butterfly movement and all that. But what is it about Dr. Bawumia that got you on board, for starters?
Well, let me say a very good morning to you once again and to our cherished viewers. In 2017, you remember that I worked with the Ministry of Education, one of the agencies that had to, as it were, ensure the implementation of the flagship program, the Free Senior High School Education. The big question was, where were we supposed to get the money to do that? That was the big question. I remember that at the time, when we did the needs assessment and all the analysis, we realized that there were about 100,000 people who were not able to go to school every year because of poverty. And there were an additional 250,000 people or 300,000 people, depending on the yearly numbers, that will also be in school. And so government had to find a way to be able to capture all these people in the budget. That was how I realized the ingenuity and the intelligence of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. To be able to capture all these people in the budget and yet we will not be affected. To be able to pay teacher training allowances, capture it in the budget and yet we will not be affected. To be able to pay for all the arrears that we came to meet from the SWA government and yet we were not affected.
Arrears like?
You remember at the time the NDC told us that they have started progressive free senior high school education, where they started with just the day student.
They had the e-blocks and the
I am talking about the progressive free senior high school education, where they were supposed to pay about 450 Ghana cedis for every student who was a day student at the time. For them, that was how they were progressively dealing with free senior high school education. And I remember throwing a challenge to them that not even one senior high school, and I used my own alma mater, St. Hubert Seminary, as an example, that not even a kobo, not even a penny, was paid with regards to that free senior high school education that they were implemented or that they sought to implement at the day school. So these were areas that we came to meet. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who was the head of the economic management team, made sure that all these things were captured without the state being affected. And so, to answer to your question, I believe that in the times that we find ourselves, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has shown that indeed he can do it when you give him the opportunity. Because in 2016, the weak economic fundamentals that we inherited from the SWA government was transformed or was metamorphosed into a better economic fundamentals by 2018. And the numbers are clear. In 2016, you remember...
But it's been how many years now? 7 years. Why are you restricting yourself up to about 2018? You know why I have a problem with that? People will tell you that, of course, if you look at realistically, the gains we had made on the back of the previous IMF program, segueing into 2017, we saw palpable results in our fiscal development, in our debt to GDP, in many of these components that by which the economy is measured. In 2017, feeding into 2018. It made sense. How about now?
Let's not speak so much English. I'm just saying that let's take the numbers. The inflation figure in 2016 was about 15.4%. Is it or is not? 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, the aggregate of the inflation that we had in this country was a single-digit inflation. You want to talk about...
Not necessarily so. Not necessarily so. But what I'm trying to say is... Even if we want to talk about single-digit inflation, which I was discussing the other time with Miracles, Abwaje, we've hit 54.1% at a point in time.
Today.
Within the last 2 years. Yes. As of now, we are in the 30s range. And the projection is that we'll end in the 30s this year. Look at the dollar to CD, the pound to the CD. Let's just say the foreign currencies to the CD.
I was just trying to build a point.
If you want to talk about that, then let's talk about that as well.
That's what I'm saying. I was building a point. I would want to give you the circumstances to which we were able to do this within that 4 years. And why we are where we are today because of the circumstances that we have. You and I know that we have not been in normal times. You and I know that from 2020 coming, we've experienced COVID-19. So if you want to judge Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on a fair scale, you judge him when there was no force majeure. That is the argument I'm just trying to make.
Right.
You
So I'm
judge
sure
when
you're
there
going
was
to
no
tell
force
me
majeure.
COVID-19 and the Russo-Ukrainian war have led us to where we are.
You don't agree?
They would contribute to some extent.
That is the point I'm trying to make.
To a minute extent.
No, not to the minute extent. It is because of the kind of economy that we've built for ourselves since 1957. It's been a weak, or if you like, a fragile economy that when it is hit so hard, it may not be able to stand on its feet. And that is the kind of economy that we have. But I'm just saying that in the absence of the force majeure, let us try and, as it were, be fair to the numbers, to the statistics, and see that when there was no force majeure, did His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, as it were, competently manage the economy or not, which I will answer in the affirmative. But of course, the circumstances...
competently managing an economy also means that the economic watchers, when they speak, were borrowing left, right, center. As far back as 2019, the writing was on the wall. We were getting caution, even from some of these ratings agencies, from the IMF itself.
It wasn't as worse as we are seeing today.
We continued on the borrowing spree, and we ended up the way we did. I'm just saying that if you pick Zambia, if you pick even Togo, if you pick Kenya, if you pick Rwanda, they were also buffeted by COVID-19 and the Russo-Ukrainian war. In fact, some of these countries, much more than we have been. Egypt, for example, the word there for bread is life. Practically all their grain from Ukraine, Russia. Look at them. And you can't even cry more than the bereaved, because Ukraine itself, if you look at the impact on them and you look at us, it appears we're even doing worse.
Each country has its own individual circumstances. We have to build our history. We have to build our circumstances for the Ghanaian people to know where we are coming from. We have not even talked about where Kenya is coming from. Nobody knows, or you have not even educated the general public where Congo is coming from. All the African countries that you mentioned, you've not even talked about where they are coming from.
I didn't mention Congo, though.
I mean, all the countries that you mentioned. But I'm just saying that where we came from as a country, from 2016, or if like from 2012 to 2016, we were in this country. When this station, when you come here, you'll be using genset. The amount of fuel that you buy to be able to power your genset.
Well, we still do sometimes.
But are you telling me?
I've heard our plant go off about, if I'm not mistaken, twice within the last week. I don't think we should get into some of those arguments, because
we have to.
Like,
you know why?
Like Frimpong Kwejo Dennis says, why is your guest comparing their achievements to the previous government but not to their neighboring countries? There's a reason we booted out the previous government. Yeah. And if you want to, Dumso was there, right?
Yes.
It's part of why people were up to their eyeballs in frustration and said, we don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know, in the last month or so, for about 2 weeks, there was a time when, for lack of even access to pay for electricity, I slept in darkness for about a week. 4 days to be specific. Do you know that in recent times,
yes,
okay, for the last week or so, power goes off averagely about 5 to 7 times where I live. That's been the terrain. I've not had water for a week. So let's not even get into that.
No, I will not dispute that. But I'm just saying that, even assuming without admitting that whatever you are saying is even true, 100%, Ben, the truth of the matter is that, are you saying that you look in the face of the Ghanaian people and compare what you are talking about to what we experienced in 2012 to 2016?
I'll look in the faces of the Ghanaian people and say that once I am paying for my utilities, I expect certain results. It doesn't matter whether comparatively that was better. I didn't vote
really?
For people to come into power.
So you think that there should be an improvement
so that
to the
they would come and give me some semblance of what?
What semblance? Are you saying that there haven't been an improvement? Is that what you are saying? I know from 2017 to 2020, were we experiencing that kind of doom so you are talking about? Were we? Even today? No, we shouldn't. That is the improvement we are talking about. So if there has been an improvement and you are saying that there's a semblance, I am disagreeing with you, and I disagree with you totally, because I live around Spinters.
Okay.
And
have you had a power outage recently?
Sometimes. Okay. And I will not dispute that. But the argument I'm trying to make to you is that what I'm seeing today is nowhere near what we experienced in 2012 to 2016.
All right, point made. Let's get to our other guests. Later on, if I forget, bring it up. because I actually wanted to find out how Old Tafel is doing, but I'll get to that later on. Let me also bring in Dr. Christopher Ampadu. He's a political analyst at the Pentecost University. Doc, thank you for joining the conversation. Please unmute for me, Dr. Ampadu. Can you hear me, Doc?
Good morning. How are you?
I am well, sir. I hope you're well too. Right. We thank God you've been able to join the conversation. Let me start with you on this beat. Of course, we're having all these conversations ahead of November the 4th and everything that is going to happen, the primaries of the New Patriotic Party. From where you sit, especially for the presidential slots, looking at the four contenders, Kennedy Agyapong, there's Dr. Bawumia, there's Dr. Efri Akoto, there's Francis Adai-Nimo. When you look at the picture, the field that is being projected, some have said that if you look at the competition, it is not like in previous years, and that this might just be a one-horse race. What is your reading of that situation? Hello, Dr. Ampadu? Right, I think we'll still work on the connection. Let me throw that same question to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Doc, if you can hear me, what is your take on that?
Hello, Ben.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that if you look at what is happening, it is a two-horse race, not one. I believe the battle is between Kennedy Agyapong, Dr. Bawumia. There's no doubt about that, right? Look at the way they've presented themselves in terms of their vision, their policies, programs, ideas, and then you gauge it against their following and the rest of them. There is no doubt in my mind that it's the two which are the front runners of the program. The interesting thing is that we've seen a whole lot that they've done in terms of the way they want to win the election. But you and I know that November 4 is the deciding moment. So we wait until that time. But for now, I believe that the two, the remaining two, don't get closer to them at all, that I can say.
Okay. All right. Do we have Dr. Ampadu now? All right. We'll try to work towards getting Dr. Ampadu reconnected. But staying on that same beat, some have also said, if you look at the numbers, Dr. Asah-Asante, the 900 plus that voted for Dr. Bawumia, earning him the over 60%, and the over 2,000 that actually voted in the superdelegates situation or setting. In this instance, we're looking at over 200,000. Some would even say over 220,000. That is like so many times more than 2,000 that actually voted. Look at the percentage difference. And that is where some have also come to say that maybe, even on the back of all the grievances that are faced, maybe the likes of Alan Tremantain jumped the gun by stepping aside. But in this instance, there are 4 left on the ballot. And the question is, the superdelegates' pattern of voting, would it reflect in this current vote or the one to come on November the 4th? Mind you, we've seen different surveys pointing to different directions, but what remains constant is the fact that Dr. Bawumia is in pole position. But by what percentage he may win is what is being called into question. What do you make of that? You would have to unmute again, Dr. Kwame. Okay, I think I can hear you now.
Yeah, if you look at the August 26th election, yes, the Electoral College was quite small and Bawumia won massively. You just oppose that on this current one. Obviously, you are talking about a big electoral body that is going to make the decision. So obviously, by sheer numbers, you realize that you are talking about more numbers, and then it's going to be a whole lot of changes that is going to happen. Because come to look at even the statistics individually, you are talking about a population that has all manner of age groups in there, most of them being young people and the rest of them. Their desires, ideas, and aspirations are different if you compare to the previous electoral body that voted on 26th of August. So all these things will come to play. And that is why it is very difficult to, for one to stick your neck out that is going to go this direction or that direction. Because you are talking about a whole sort of people who are coming to vote, and the factors that influence their choices, remember, there are also many. At this level, people want to see the one that they want to elect, who will be able to rub shoulders with whoever has emerged or about to emerge from any political party outside the NPP. They want to see somebody who will be able to handle the country's economic problems and handle them well. And of course, record will come to play at this level. Who will be able to defend the party's record, who will be able to come out with, if you like, new sort of ideas that will bring energy, will bring hope to the people and all that. They really want somebody who, if they are to sell in terms of marketing to the good people of this country, it will not be that difficult for them because the person has a lot of baggage and the rest of them. So it's a whole admixture of factors that are going to play out. So that makes this election very, very, very interesting. And it's very difficult to point out who is winning from the word go.
Let me come to you, Dr. Ampedu. Thankfully, you've been able to reconnect with us. My question earlier had to do with the political dynamics, the four that are going to the polls on November the 4th, and the different dynamics. Some have said it's a one-horse race. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is saying it's a two-horse race. From where you sit, what do you see? Is it a clear-cut victory come November the 4th for Dr. Bawumia?
Thank you so much. Good morning. I'm sorry, my network gave me a lot of problems. Well, I think I agree with Dr. Kwame because, people assume that Bawumia is so popular and that he can easily win with a margin of about even 80%, which I completely disagree because, the whole work of President Nana Addo is now going to be interrogated or is going to be seen in the work of Bawumia. And so if people are in dire need of even just food, care, health care, and life is so difficult, and people are just assuming that people will just vote for Bawumia because it's popular. Sometimes it's like an illusion because people are looking at the unemployment rates, they are looking at the cost of living currently, they are looking at the challenges that we are encountering right now. While it is true that people can be given some monies to go vote, this is a number that you cannot influence easily, like as it was done in the previous election. So I think it is going to be something which is going to be very hectic for Bawumia to just win overwhelmingly as he did in the previous vote. However, I think Kennedy is working hard. Nimo is also working hard. Balfour Kutu is also working hard. We cannot take their work for granted that because they are not too popular, they are not going to win votes. Unlike the previous one, where people can easily be mobilized and somehow even manipulated and influenced, here is very difficult. And I think it is time for us to look at the socio-economic implications of this voting. It's not just going to be just vote and have your way out, because people will take a whole lot of things into consideration before they vote. Those who are down there, some of them, this getting to about 8 years in governance, and accountability is so important. And that can be seen even from what happened at Asah-Asante. People thought it was just something for the NPP aspirant to win. They were shocked by what happened. I think Ghanaians are now very enlightened that it is not just what people can give you right now. It is not what people say. They have to look at their socio-economic lives in terms of progress before they go into voting. And I think these 200,000 people are not just going to vote. I think they will take all of this into consideration before they go to voting. And I believe that at the end of it, yes, it looks or it appears that Bawumia is on the lead, but then I cannot underrate the other contestants.
Right.
They may surprise him, and it may go maybe to other rounds.
For those of you watching, I'll be reading some of your comments shortly, but I'd like us to expatiate as well, and I'll start with you, Dr. Ampadu, before I go back to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante and come into the studio. The influence of Kennedy Agyapong, the Assin Central, legislator, he's also spoken about some matters that have been echoed by the Francis Adai Nimos, by the Dr. Efria Kotos, by the Boachi Jakons, and other contestants, including Alan Tremating. They've spoken about manipulation. They've spoken about intimidation. They've spoken about the influence of money. In recent times, though it's a bit outlandish, Kennedy Agyapong himself has claimed that there was an attempt from the Bawumia camp to buy him off, to get him not to contest against the vice president. He mentions some $800 million, which of course is rather outrageous in terms of sum. But the mere fact that this rhetoric seems to be funneling through the veins of the NPP. How problematic is that? What does it do to what we're going to witness on November the 4th? And then I would like to find out from you, what do you think, really? How potent is the threat of Kennedy Agyapong? These two put together. I'll start with Dr. Ampadu, but it is also for you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Dr. Ampadu.
Thank you so much. I think this is one of the most disciplined voting trends that the NPP have gone through. Wow. I was very surprised to see MPs, I think key leaders of the political party, coming out to just tell public the people they want to vote for. Now, these are people of influence, MPs, regional executive members of the party. So it appears that, in fact, there is no discipline as far as the NPP is concerned. And this also does not accord fair grounds for all the contestants to really campaign so well for delegates to vote for. Because here we are, people of influence, our leaders, constituency leaders, all being harnessed to support one particular candidate for the first time. If the NPP should just pride herself by saying that they are the epicenter of democracy in Ghana, and the top leaders of the party are doing this, and the leadership cannot bring them to order to see a regional chairman of the party campaigning for a candidate. I think this is one of the very sad things to happen to this political party. It should not be taken for granted. How do you expect unity? How do you expect people to really come together to support this particular guy, if even he wins, to break the eight? I think these comments should not just be taken for granted. I also think it goes to the core of the political democracy as far as political party work is concerned. And once the leadership of the party have not been able to bring this into to whip them and align them to the discipline of the party. I think, and all the contestants, apart from Dr. Bawumia, is complaining or has complained bitterly about this. I think it's so sad for the NPP, and I believe that if they are sincere about breaking the 8, but now I can say it is too late for them to do anything about it.
I see.
But I think the party didn't do well to allow these things to go on.
Right.
Especially as you have key people coming out. I mean, it's true that everyone has someone to vote for or to align himself or herself with. But then the discipline of the party should bring them in line with what they stand for, especially if they want to be seen as more democratic.
Right.
But what they've done doesn't show much of their democratic potential that they claim to have.
All right. On the bit about the potency of the candidacy of Kennedy Agyapong, what would you say? He's been a bit of an interesting candidate. You could call him the dark horse of the race, a bit of a wild card. How do you see him in terms of political potency?
Yeah, I think he stands a good chance. Why? Because he's speaking the language of the ordinary people.
Right.
He is someone who is really down to earth, and there are visible signs of how he has given great support to ordinary people, both here and abroad. And again, in terms of some of the things he's talking about, one of the greatest problems we are contending with had to do with corruption. And we know Ken, well, maybe, except that maybe when he comes, he would behave like Nanado, who said, give me the chance. And then he came in, and then we are not seeing much of him. But I know that he is not going to allow corruption to overwhelm him, but rather the very canker that we are all contending with, he will really work to bring about, some end to the visible corruption that is going on that people are doing nothing about. Again, when it comes to employment, he has experience, and people know that he has given a lot of support and jobs to people. He has set up, he has experience as far as the business aspect of his life is concerned. Now, these are things that cannot just be taken for granted that, well, he's just speaking. Because he's not just speaking about it, that is his life.
All right. So
if that is life, I think many will buy into his words and then try to align themselves. I think he's a potential.
All right.
And
so
he should not be.
So he has the track record. I think your point is forcefully made. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, before I come into the studio.
Yes, Ben. I didn't get your question. Can you repeat that for me?
So I spoke about the contenders. I spoke about Kennedy Agyapong and the potency of his candidacy vis-a-vis what we see in Dr. Bawumia, among others. There was an initial question that I posed to Dr. Ampadu, as and when I recall, I'll bring it to you. But how do you find Kennedy Agyapong? Some have said he's the dark horse. Some have said he's the Trump of this, campaign who could shake the system, because he is not your typical politician. He's never been a minister. He's never been in cabinet. He's never been at the forefront of leading. But he's a businessman, and he has his own, linkages and all of that. But he's done well for himself, as people would say. I'm just sharing with you what people say about him. And they feel he is the anti-establishment candidate who can shake the system and drain the swamp a la Trump. What do you think?
Yeah, all that you have said, I also follow. If you look at Kennedy Agyapong, his persona, his political acumen, and his experience from the business world up to politics, there is no doubt in my mind that he stands tall in the scheme of things of politics. Let's look at he as a person. He is somebody that, if you follow the whole conversation and the whole process, is somebody who has a large following. There's no doubt about that. He is also somebody who speaks the language of the ordinary man. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But these are things that really influence voters, particularly so when you are talking about large unemployed youth, people, the vulnerable, the needy, and all that. He has ideas. Yeah, he has ideas. Look at some of the ideas he has articulated, that if given power, he will implement them and all that.
Right.
From tourism to the economy and the rest of them. He articulates great ideas. Of course, sometimes too, he goes over the top by saying that, yes, it's no issue of theoretical things alone. We should walk the talk. I agree. Much as I agree, there is something that we want to even point out here, that as Immanuel Kant said, that theory without practice is empty, but practice without theory is blind. So it tells you that the two go hand in hand. So all the theoretical things that people have done have yielded results of things that we see today. But that aside, if you look at his campaign, let's look at his campaign, the way he has pursued it. Apart from churning out the messages, telling us what are under his sleeves in terms of his ideas and all that, he's also exposing the ills, the evils within the party. For me, as from where I said, that is great, because then we get to know that all is not well, and that stakeholders must get their acts together and fix these things. Because take it or leave it, the NDC, NPP are the giant parties who are going to win elections anyway all the time until you get a third force, which I don't believe that any third force can come in the shortest possible time. Right. So the two, whether we like it or not, they will win because of the party system that we have. So he's pointing out the weaknesses of the party and all that, and to the extent that sometimes he dares the followers of the party and saying that, yes, if you like, I'm calling your bluff.
Right.
Say something different, and I'll expose the ills the more within the party. All these things are giving him some
credibility.
Credibility. Portfolio credibility. Support and the rest of them. That's aside. He also showed to the world what he has done for himself. Remember, in politics, you are talking about contest of ideas. So ideas, he's churning out ideas. And a referendum of your work. What work has he done as an individual? For which reason he believes that he must be given opportunity to serve this country. The little that he has done is showing to the people. And that is another amazing aspect. So when you put it all together, you realize that he stands in a very better position to lead the party if the delegates think so. What is going to go against him is the fact that his outbursts are going to be played out to him. There are a lot of videos that are out there. You and I know. Time will not permit us to go through all of them. And I am sure that he has taken political notice of that. He's preparing answers for that, because they are going to churn out all those things to him. You compare to Bawumia. Bawumia, a fine gentleman, great economist. There is no doubt about that. He has contributed his quota to the development of this country. There's no doubt about that. If you look at Bawumia's campaign, he talks about how to take the economic fortunes of this country to another level by building capacity of people to take advantage of the economic situation. He looks about looking about building human resource as the base for economic development and the rest of them. If you look at his campaign, you realize that, like Kennedy Agyapong, he has also taken the stage of the media and sharing his ideas, views to the people and all that. There is no doubt that he also has fine ideas, and that giving the nod, he'll be a fine gentleman to lead the party. But he also has a baggage, and the baggage is the very questions that he gave to the late Emisata. The 76 questions are going to be churned out to him. And then he should be able to explain to us how he's going to deal with those questions.
I will get to that bit, because yesterday, interacting with Sam George, he made, I believe it was Sam George, he made mention of the fact that, you know, they would prefer for Dr. Bawumia to win, because then, like, I think it's Kennedy Agyapong who said it, or someone like that, that then they wouldn't even have to contest, because all they would have to do is get the 76 or 100 plus questions, depending on when you're looking at, put them on billboards, and then throw them at the vice president to see whether he can answer. But hold for me, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. I have to come into the studio. Let me also acknowledge some of your messages. Desmond Elikblim Aflu says, so ECHO is clearly trying to avoid the narrative. The very candidates you are defending is still in power and hasn't done anything. I'm going to truncate your messages. I can't read all of them. Benjamin Dari says, please tell Mr. Asifua that we, the disappointed NPP, we are disappointed in the management of the NPP and the economy. I will boot them out. Ampa Asare, you say you have your concerns with how I'm handling the show, and you say I should be booted out. Okay, that's an interesting one. You know, Ampa, if you come and prove yourself better, I would gladly cede my position to you. I don't get a problem. If you can do this better, you could go through the processes and come and replace me if need be. But I'm sure the reactions of Abdul Samed and Frimpong Kwejo Dennis to you should give you some guidance. There's also, this one says, I disagree with the panel who said party leaders choosing candidates they want to be voted for. The question is, who among those leaders has any credibility? None of them. There are many more messages. I'll read them as time goes on. There is this question. I mean, obviously, there's no one who is all negative and no one who is all positive. It's not possible. But there's this narrative, Echo, that Dr. Bawumia comes with too much baggage. That as head of the economic management team, do you remember the taunts, you know? Do you remember this person? Do you remember that person that was on the NDC's economic management team? Do you remember them? No one did. Now, he is at the helm of the economic management team. And we are where we are. I'm just labeling for you one of the things that have been said. Messages here, some of what our guests have said. That gives him too much baggage. In other words, people say he will win the battle, all right, but lose the war. What do you think?
I think that he has, or he probably has some negatives, but he has so much positives. I'll tell you why. When I was contesting for Old Trafford constituency, it was very difficult for you to say anything against me because I had not been given an opportunity to lead. Now, when you are given an opportunity to lead, because you are now a leader of the plethora of people who gave you that opportunity for you to lead them, it is not everything that you do that will satisfy them. And I do not think that Joy News or any media house or any commentator will want to tell me that when you take the manifesto of the New Patriotic Party, you are expecting that you will be able to achieve all the 100%. Yes, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia made some promises. Yes, he made mention of a number of things with respect to the economy. You may not be able to, as it were, see that all those things has been achieved in its entirety. But it doesn't mean that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is having so much baggage. No, I do not agree to that. What I think is that he may have...
They say that at least, pardon the interjection, they say that at least he has a lot more baggage compared to the other three.
Which I disagree, because the other three have not been given an opportunity to be vice president. That is why I use myself as an example. When I was contesting in 2020, the things that they are saying about me or the things that they can say about me today was never said in 2020. The difference is that today you are a leader. And so not every action of yours or not every inaction of yours will go down well with the people. And so that is agreed. He is winning the race because he has so much positives at his disposal. And that is why the over 200,000 people who are eligible to vote on Saturday are going to give their support to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Not because of anything, but because I think that the positives outweigh the negatives. And so any argument that he is having so much baggages to his disposal is something that I would disagree. It is not proper because... Hey,
it is not proper or it's not founded.
It is not founded. I mean, it is not founded because today, if you take digitalization, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is one of the people who have made politics in this country since days immemorial, from 1957, you see a vice president who now talk about issues, making politics about issues, thinking about how to be able to transform the economy to the one that we are seeing in the outside world, the US, in the UK, where you go to UK today, it is very difficult for you to be holding cash around. This is what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is thinking about for the nation. And so it is very difficult for me, for anybody to, as it were, assert that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is having so much baggages. He is not having so much baggages. He's having some negatives, as human as he is, and as a leader that as he is, like myself. But I think that the positives outweigh the negatives that he's having.
If you're so sure, maybe even cocksure, because I've heard some of the members of your camp come across as though nothing possibly could create a seismic political shift as far as the November 4th primary is concerned, the presidential primary. But some have also warned that you're looking at over 200,000 delegates and that you cannot sit pretty and think you've won already. But there's also this point. If you feel you're sitting so pretty, why have there been attempts, so-called, and I'm only saying because I've heard from your camp, debunking those claims. But Kennedy Agyapong, not once, at least twice, has said your side has tried to influence him monetarily, and that this is something that has been done to get him to step aside so your candidate can move forward and become flag bearer. If you're so confident, why are you using all of these tactics? And mind you, I'm linking it to what others have said. Dr. Ifria Akoto, Francis Adai Nimo, Kennedy Agyapong, Alan Trematin, among others, Boachi Jakon, talking about manipulation, intimidation, the influence of money. Why do you need to resort to that?
Those are his words as against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I have seen a video where Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia clearly, openly, as it were, denying those allegations that have been made against him. When we talk about politics of intimidation and moneycracy, if you like, giving so much money to people just for them to support you, then I ask myself, the only elections that we've had is the special delegates election, which MPs were part. So I feel very insulted if Kennedy Agyapong or any commentator will say that I have been influenced to go and vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, as if I don't know my left and right. Is Kennedy Agyapong telling me that since he started going around, he has not been giving transportation and other things to people? Is he saying that he has not been giving pickups and other things to people? Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and his office has denied categorically that there has not been any approach by himself or any of the team members to Kennedy Agyapong.
That has been made, but the question is, are you afraid of him?
We are not afraid. Why are we afraid of him? Because the special, you see, if you check the architecture of how the elections are, if an MP goes to vote for a particular candidate, anybody who understands the political architecture of the NPP and how our electioneering processes are will know that the MP voting is having about 400 or 500 other people who is also going to vote in support of his choice. That is clear.
Because the MP is influencing other people.
No, because...
No, but the influence is clear. I had a former MCE come here, Dennis Miracles, he's a member of your team, come here and say that as former MC, he's actually whipping his people in line to vote for the vice president. He came here and said that.
No, because they will ask, in our circumstances that we have now, what is your opinion about who should lead the party? You get the point. Are you saying that Kennedy Agyapong in 2004, 2008, 2012 didn't have an opinion as to who should lead the party? Why are we being ostriches?
But this is the first time, really, that we see people coming out like this. In fact, at the start of the campaign, there was even talk from as high as the presidency itself that don't take sides and all of this. Well, the campaign has started, yes, but the way people are taking sides, like one of the academics, I've forgotten whether it's Dr. Asah-Asante or Dr. Ampedu this morning. If you go down this road, eventually you choose one person, yes. But the crevices, the cracks, the fissures in the party, will you be able to mend them moving forward? That's the question.
We have to create the impression to the Ghanaian people, more especially the party people, that we are united against one candidate. We are sending a signal to the people that this is the best person for us in 2024. You see, if there's any problem, I think we should rather tackle how album is being made. Because if you allow an MP to be a delegate, if I'm a delegate, it means that I'm supposed to vote. I should have a choice. But if you want me not to be someone who is supporting someone for anybody to know that, hey, the MP is clearly supporting a candidate, then maybe we should rather, if you like, amend our constitution to allow such leaders not to be voting and just allow the grassroots to be voting. But as soon as you make me a delegate, I have a choice and I have to make sure that I exercise that franchise openly for everybody to know that this is the candidate I'm supporting. So there's no doubt about the fact that if an MP, or if like a regional chairman or a constituency executive decides to support a candidate, it is that road. Because of how the architecture of our electioneering processes are, these are the challenges that you may face. But I must tell you that on November 4th, it is clear that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to carry the day.
And that has been the rhetoric. We've even seen BMW, Bawumia must win, right? It's something your campaign has put out. I just have this final question on this subject before I go to the other guests. BMW, Bawumia must win. Must it be at all costs, even to the detriment of the NPP?
Absolutely.
We have
Absolutely
stalwarts,
not.
even some
Absolutely not.
founding members of your party who have said that this will spell doom for your party.
That is his opinion. That is my opinion. That is the opinion of the other person. The opinions of other people cannot be chastised, cannot be attacked, as if the other person is a superhuman being. If you are a stalwart in the party and you have an opinion that this is the way we should go, why do you think that as an MP, I should not also have an opinion?
Right.
Where have you got into? What kind of analysis is that? If you have an opinion, I should also have an opinion.
Okay. And that, honestly, everybody has their own opinion.
Absolutely.
And you exercise...
there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. You exercise discretion. And
Yeah,
just as you've chosen, for example, to support the
Yes,
Bawumia campaign. But let me come to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante on this point, and maybe to both of you, Dr. Asah-Asante and Dr. Ampedu, as we gear up to get to the final bit of this conversation. Now, if you look at the temperament of the four contenders, especially, I want to narrow it down to Kennedy Agyapong because he is such a wild card in all of this, the dark horse, as some have said. His temperament. While we've spoken about the positives, he's a businessman and he comes in as someone who is not as tainted as the others. His temperament, his self-control, his speech, how he carries himself. Some have even gone as far as saying it is unpresidential. Now, we also cannot forget the rhetoric in respect of Ahmed Hussein Swale, who was in this space, the fourth estate. And we saw what happened to him on the back of, we know him, if you see him, beat him and all of that. He got gunned down. Till today, we've not got to the bottom of that matter. What is your take on that in terms of his temperament, in terms of those qualities that are presidential? And I also want you to add to that, what do you think then? Let's assume Dr. Bawumia wins. Would a Bawumia-Ken pairing in election 2024, Bawumia-Ken, would it do in the election to secure the election for the NPP and help them break the 8? Two questions. I hope both of you got them. I'll start with you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.
Yes, I will start with the last one first. With the pairing of Bawumia, Ken, do the trick for the NPP. The first thing is that you want to find yourself whether it will be possible for the two to come together and then fight this common battle. But in politics, I also concede that anything can happen. So it's a difficult one. But if you put the two together, yes, their strength will play out. But weaknesses of each of them can really put together, can also undermine their chances. Because there are a lot that you can say. Take, for instance, Dr. Bawumia. We've said the good things, or the good things about him. The baggages, all right? The issue of the economy, how we have arrived here. I mean, I don't know how he's going to explain it. Yes, we have heard also him say that, yes, he's not in that position where, as a vice president, he doesn't control everything and all that. For me, that argument cannot be taken. Because if you think that you have what it takes to support your government and you've been denied, you voice it out and it's not accepted, you vote with your feet, you resign. why is he still in office? I mean, and that you want to be given the opportunity as the president before you can act. No, we can give him examples. The Mr. Kufuor, when he was the PND with the PNDC, he felt that at a point in time he could not continue. They would not listen to him, and what the government was doing, he was not in support of that. He left, and that is the mark of a politician. All right. So if you think that your advice is not being taken, you think that where you are being shortchanged, and the rest of them, you have the right to vote with your feet. So that cannot. The issue of the reckless borrowing and all that, which the MP was trying to justify because we are in a very difficult. We had COVID, we had all these things. These excuses can be given, but I tell you, and that the reality is that, are we saying that the government doesn't have a hand into the economic, mismanagement of the country? That also cannot be wished away. So I was looking forward to him saying that, yes, the government also, much as those factors also played a role in the economic difficulty that we find ourselves in, the government also have something that, contributed to where we are. And I was expecting that from the Honorable MP. I didn't get that. But fast forward, if you look at Kennedy Agyapong, obviously you are talking about, we've talked about his strength, but his weaknesses are some of the things that he has said and all that. Let us remember that when we're talking about politics in Ghana, issue of what, your temperament and all that, they count a lot. They count a lot. And that brings me to your first question, that his temperament and all that. Yes, that is a problem. If you ask me from where I sit, I realize that he did not manage his temperament well. I mean, he did not manage himself well in that area, apart from the fact that he's a fine gentleman, he has ideas and all that. But that must be said. He did not manage himself well in terms of that area. That is what is going to go against him, because when you put him up as a leader, you don't know the next moment what his action is going to be. That is something that is really agitating the minds of people. A lot of things he has said, I mean, against people, against establishment, against individual groups and the rest of them. All right. One of the things that he said, which I found very, very unfortunate, that he said that, look at Joy FM. And I think it was Mama View went and interviewed him about agriculture. He spoke on a number of issues, but he said that if you want to be poor, that you want to go into agriculture. That I found very, very unfortunate, because this country's mainstay is what? Agriculture, and the rest all boils down to the fact that he did not manage these things very well. But apart from that, he has a strength, very much so. And if you look at all the things he has said and all that, I have said that these are the things that are going to be played against him. The good news is that the two gentlemen we are talking about here, they have acknowledged the effect of all the things that they have said, and they are ready to provide answers to us. But as to whether people will accept them is another thing. I have heard Kennedy Agyapong dealing with some of the issues we are talking about on TV, online, and the rest of them, trying to justify, trying to defend, and all that. I've also heard Dr. Bawumia also trying to do same relative to the things he has said against NDC and all that. But as to whether they will be able to convince people with what they have said, it's another thing.
All right. Dr. Ampedu.
Thank you so much. I think I would want to start from his temperament. It's true that Ken have said several things that even now he himself has regretted saying it. But just citing an example of what Doc said, if you want to be poor, go into farming. Now, I think he said it in context. It is saying that in our country, Ghana, if you look at how farmers have been treated, in fact, I don't want to be speaking for him, but then some of the things he said it, I think, based on the acrimonious attitude and behavior of some leaders and some Ghanaians to the detriment of others. So maybe out of annoyance, out of frustrations, he had to say what he said. Look at how farmers have been treated in our nation all these years. It takes a lot of industrious behaviors for people to come out from farming and be very prosperous. And it is true that things about Swale and others are so acrimonious. But then, again, since he has not been taken to court to be really on a criminal court to be charged on some of these things, I don't think we can talk much about that. But again, let's look at this. Yes, his temperaments are not the type some people think we need. But in Ghana, temperaments matter. And they do influence our some political decisions, especially people of a class, a level.
Right.
But then when you look at these temperaments, even currently, people get rich. We don't even ask how come they become prosperous from nowhere. People are corrupt and they're distributing money and wealth, building houses, and then acquiring property for themselves, and no one is questioning it.
Right.
Now, this is a guy, despite his temperament, he's caring for the poor, paying fees for those who cannot afford, sending others abroad to go make life, giving scholarships, helping healthcare delivery systems, donating to poor communities and all of the others. Now, the average Ghanaian, what matters to him is survival.
Okay.
How do I survive?
I think Dr. Ampedu.
Talking about temperament. He is talking about survival. How do people survive in our current dispensation? So I think whilst he can be blamed for some of these at best, again, what he's doing to help the ordinary person or people far outclass what he is saying.
Okay, Okay, so I just have to do this. I just have to do this very briefly. I want a straight answer, yes or no. Is Bawumia, Dr. Bawumia, the weakest candidate of the four, or compared to Kennedy Agyapong, is he the weakest?
Well,
just a straightforward answer. Straightforward answer.
The weakest. You want yes and no, but yes. Then each of them has some baggages, as human as they are.
Is he weaker? Is he weaker?
I think so, because he is part of the economic management team.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I wanted. Dr. Pedu, that's all I wanted. Time is not on our side. Dr. Asah-Asante, is he weaker? Is he the weaker force?
Who?
Dr. Bawumia, compared to Kennedy Agyapong. Is he the weaker because of the baggage? Straight answer. That's it.
I can't provide an answer.
Thank you. Let me come into the studio. You have the final word. And also, I'd like to celebrate you. You were called to the bar.
That's about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, 3 weeks ago is still fresh. Yeah. We've not been on this show. We've not spoken about it. So
yes,
I guess now it's fitting to add Esquire to your name.
Well.
Though you don't sing in a choir.
Well.
Okay, so congratulations on that. You have the final word, at least to react to some of what they've said briefly, and then we can.
I think that on November 4th is just a word of caution and advice that I want to give to my party people, especially because when you look at what happened during the special delegates conference, it was largely or almost or near peaceful, except one or two incidents that happened, which was just because of some disagreements as you don't show your ballot and those things. And so clearly, if you want to just maximize that effect into about 200,000 people who is going to vote, we are just hopeful that we don't have such incidents. The New Patriotic Party that I know should exude that gentility that we are known for.
All right.
We should exude that peaceful nature that we are known for. Because whatever happened on November 4th may be played back to what? And so the rules has been set very clear. Yesterday I saw a statement from the regional minister of Ashanti region letting us know how the voting is going to be like. An open space. So if you are not entitled to vote, you don't enter.
Right.
Yard.
So basically, you just want people to comply by the rules,
Absolutely.
the guidelines.
It's very necessary
by what
for me.
percentage is Dr. Bawumia winning? I've heard some of your team members give percentages. By what percentage can he not fall below? What's your projection?
He's not doing less than 70%.
He's not doing less than 70%.
In Otafo, we are giving about 75%. Yeah.
Echo.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Right.
So welcome. Those who joined us for the conversation this morning, Echo Asefo, a member of Parliament, Otafo. He also is. I saw some people talking about the Swami interchange, but that's a conversation for another day. Member of Parliament, Otafo. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist at the University of Ghana. Dr. Christopher Ampedu, political analyst with the Pentecost University. Gentlemen, thank you so much for having joined the conversation. We'll take a breather. When we return, we'll talk about that agreement, the visa waiver between Ghana and South Africa. What does that regime hold? What are the dynamics? What should you know? It doesn't just mean you can just pick your passport, go. There are certain requirements. What are they? We'll be bringing you the scoop on that after the break. Welcome back on the AM show. Have you ever thought of going to South Africa, the country of the Madiba himself? Well, you could say that things have become much easier because Ghana and South Africa earlier this year agreed on a waiver, a visa waiver regime for holders of ordinary passports. But are there any requirements you should know of? What are some of the things that must be put in place? And how long can you even live in South Africa versus how much, well, South Africans coming into the country, what benefits they would get? Joining us for a conversation on that, we have South Africa's Deputy High Commissioner in the person of Thando Delamba. He joins the conversation this morning. Mr. Delamba, good morning. Welcome on the AM show.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning to all your viewers.
How long has this been in the pipeline, this whole visa waiver regime? How long have both of our countries, I know it's not just Ghana, but how long has this been incubating?
You know what, to be honest with you, I arrived here in May last year, and the first thing that I was informed by the High Commissioner that the issue of the visa waiver between South Africa and Ghana, it has been on pipeline since 2019.
Since 2019?
Since 2019.
That's a good one.
Yes, 2019.
4 or 5 years.
Yes, it was supposed to be signed in 2021 December when President Ramaphosa visited Ghana for a state visit.
I remember that.
It was one of the agreements on the table. But due to legal, if I can put legal differences or technicalities, it couldn't be signed. And we worked on it. Then in August this year, when Minister Botchway visited South Africa to meet with her South African counterpart, it was also on the pipeline, and they were even prepared to sign it on the 18th of August.
Okay.
But on the advice to our minister by our state law advisors on international law, so our minister was advised not to sign it. Again, the issue of legal technicalities, and it was undertaken after that meeting that in 2 weeks in August, it was supposed to be in August, end of August. If you count 18th of August, the two ministers agreed that within 2 weeks it will be signed, but it couldn't be. Then from our side, we tried to push, as the High Commission, to put pressure on Home Affairs, to put pressure on the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, said, can this thing be finalized? Because we were inundated with a lot of visa application in the office. There was a backlog. We are appealing to our principals in South Africa to say, please, can this thing be finalized? So in October, we had a meeting, South Africa and Ghana, virtual meeting, where immigration officers from the side and South African immigration and the two high commissions, the one in South Africa and the one in Ghana, whereby we agreed that this has to come into effect on the 1st of November after Ghana presented a declaration, what do you call it? A declaration, you see, on waiver of declaration of intent on the waiver of visa requirements for ordinary passport holders.
Okay.
It was agreed that 1st of November.
I'm curious. So beyond, what does the agreement really mean? I mean, what does it bring to the table beyond fostering good relations between the two countries?
It's about, you say, it was one of the impediments on the movement of people between the two countries, this visa requirements. Then because there were so many, let's say, requirements that citizens from Ghana, from South Africa, they have to meet before they can travel to South Africa or to travel to Ghana. So it was one of the impediments that was preventing people to travel between the two countries. So now, since we've got this, it will make the lives of our people, both Ghanaians and South Africans, much easier to go and explore the two countries.
It's called the Rainbow Nation. And it's a hodgepodge of people from, I mean, the Dutch are there, Afrikaans.
Yeah,
historically, you have so much history, rich history.
Yes, sir.
And traditionally, South Africans have been very hospitable. Tell us about that traditional South African hospitality.
That's what we call it, Ubuntu, humanity, whereby
I am because you are.
That's it. So it's historical. South Africans by nature, they're welcoming people, you see. Wherever you go to South Africa, you'll be embraced, you'll be welcomed. We are a welcoming nation. So it's time immemorial. Even when I was young, my aunt is married to a Malawian. That Malawian has been living in South Africa since I was young. When was it? I think at the age of 16, 17 when I was. So my aunt got married to a Malawian and other South African marriages. Even here, Ghanaians, they marry South Africans.
I mean, Ghanaians have, Robert Mugabe had a Ghanaian wife at that point, you know, so that relationship, it has always been there.
Yes, you'll be surprised that my sister-in-law is married a Ghanaian who has been in South Africa since 1983. And he's running salons. He's got lots of salons in the Free State, in Northwest, but he started in the Northwest. So it shows that relations...
We had a South African, Mapitso Sibidi, here with us, who left for South Africa not too long ago. I wish you were here. It would have been a good conversation.
Good conversation, yes.
So we've imbibed, the different aspects of culture, and of course, hospitality is shared, attribute with Ghanaians. But again, something else that obviously would be a benefit. South Africa has the Amapiano, train that has set off. In Ghana, I mean, Afrobeats among others, and those synergies. How do you think this visa waiver will help us create those linkages, even in music and other spheres?
You know what? We've got to these events in Ghana, Afrochella, it's Afrofuture now, Afro Nation.
Yeah.
See, South Africans in their numbers, they normally come here. So they've decided Afrofuture, Kenny, she decided to do it in South Africa. And recently, I think in October, there was a gig by Kenny in South Africa where he brought Ghanaians to South Africa to have an event like the one used normally in Ghana in December. So it was done in South Africa. Even Afro Nation is the same thing. They're going to do it in Durban or Cape Town, I'm not sure, but they are planning to do a big gig in South Africa where they will bring Ghanaian artists to South Africa, Afrobeat. And Ghana with Afrobeat and South Africa with Amapiano. I think this waiver, it came to us as a relief because I remember Kenny at the last event, he was having some challenges with some of the artists to go to South Africa, but we helped them. But it was a big number, and but at least now this visa waiver, it will make our easier, or the movement of our people, much easier than it was.
Before I get to the final bits, I just want you to give a breakdown, because I've also heard that some people are a bit confused about what all of this really means. What does it mean on the South African side for people coming, let's say South Africans coming to Ghana? What does it mean on the Ghanaian end for people who want to go to South Africa? We know about the fact that you cannot stay beyond 90 days over a 12-month period. But are there any other requirements? What does this mean? Make it very clear for our viewers.
You see, if you look at the title of this document that the two countries,
waiver.
It's a waiver of visa requirements. Waiver of visa requirements.
So all requirements are gone?
Yes, technically they are gone. But like in Ghana, randomly, people at the migration, they will ask you, who are you visiting?
Okay.
The name of the hotel will be staying. Do you have their contact number so that we can contact and verify?
What are you in South Africa for?
It's
business, pleasure, what is it?
You see, mainly this one is for pleasure. You see, 90 days. You can't work with this. You have to apply for a different visa, a work permit, and also to a certain extent, the one for medical treatment. It's a
so health tourism.
Health tourism. Yeah, right. But for study permit, you have to come to the office and apply. But for tourism, 90 days, that one it makes it easy for people to visit South Africa. And also, I'd like just to urge the Ghanaians that they should have their yellow fever certificate.
Yellow fever certificate.
It's a must.
Have it ready. Now,
Yes.
now yellow fever certification, they give a lifelong one here in Ghana.
Some of them,
Lifetime.
they're 10 years. It depends. You see,
It depends on what you get.
Yes, yeah.
The last one I got was a lifetime.
Lifetime.
So I don't have.
Yeah, there's one
So
that
if you can get it.
If you check that certificate, they will say this one is for diphtheria, for whatever. Then 10 years, life, 5 years. So that's why they do. There are those for life. There are those that are valid for 10 years. There are those that are valid for 5 years. So, and also a valid a ticket, a return ticket, and also what else? Yeah, basically those are the ones that it's a must that when you go, so that you don't have any problem to.
How about COVID-19?
No COVID-19 in South Africa.
No longer.
In South Africa, we never have this thing of COVID-19. You just bring your PCR certificate that you were vaccinated. It's not like in other countries whereby you were having that vaccination card that you have to go. It was just PCR. That's 24 hours before you enter South Africa. That was it. But we never had that mandatory certificate that was issued. But yeah, it was just PCR.
So the final bit I'll ask you, of course, we're talking about South Africa and everything it has to offer. You've specified that this typically would be for those going to South Africa for pleasure. You probably wouldn't spend more than a month. So 90 days is more than enough, or maybe health or medical tourism, where, again, it's unlikely you would be spending more than 90 days. If you're going for anything else or intending to work, you may require other visas. And then you would have to go through
South African High Commission.
The South African High Commission with the other processes. Please get that clear. It depends on what you are going for.
And,
right?
And also, I'd like also to appeal to the Ghanaians also, please don't overstay. Because if you overstay, just like in Ghana, if you overstay, you have to appeal to the minister, not just to chief director. You call chief director to whom you call director general. You don't have to appeal. Your appeal goes to minister. And you know, ministers, their schedules, they are busy. So it can even take you 2 years. And if you are on that stop list, you won't be allowed entry into South Africa. So please don't overstay.
Don't get on the blacklist. My final bit to you. There are many countries people can go to. Why South Africa? What is unique about South Africa? That will be my final word. What is unique about South Africa that should get Ghanaians and other people going there?
You see, South Africa, because of tourism, attraction, as they say, we've got Table Mountain, we've got, that's at the bottom of the continent where the two oceans meet. The wine route, Ghanaians, they like South African wines, and many more other tourist attractions like the Kruger National Park, like Cape Town. Ghanaians, they are in love with Cape Town because they like the scenery. You see, one of the things for South Africa, it's a scenery, and but each and every province in South Africa, it's got its unique characteristics that in terms of scenery, in terms of people, in terms of culture, and many more attractions that the Ghanaians, they can go to South Africa and experience.
Any final words?
Any final word I would like to say to the Ghanaians, they are free to visit South Africa, and also they have to take precautionary measures when they visit the country, like in any other country. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Thando Dalamba. He is Deputy South African High Commissioner. He joined us for a conversation to just situate this entire visa waiver and what it really means. We're grateful. But coming up next after the break, we're going to be exploring the University of Ghana School of Law's, 2023 Alumni Homecoming. That's my alma mater, yeah? And it's a much anticipated event that brings together distinguished alumni, faculty, students, and the wider legal community. That conversation up next on the AM Show. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM Show, and of course, we're now talking law. The fraternity, it excites me because this is my area. The University of Ghana School of Law is thrilled to announce its 2023 Alumni Homecoming, a much-anticipated event that brings together distinguished alumni, faculty, students, and the wider legal community. And it's all about, well, you would also have learned about that complex that is being put up. This event celebrates the rich heritage, outstanding achievements, and the collective impact we have had on the legal landscape in Ghana and beyond. Joining me for a conversation on that is Eduji Tameklo. And he is a product, a proud alumnus, I'm speaking for him, of the University of Ghana School of Law now. Eduji, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you to your viewers and yes, the people who have joined us.
And you go as far back as 2011.
Correct.
Charlie, I nearly said you, if it were Bishop Evan, I would have used a certain term.
I know. So I joined the faculty in 2009, and by 2011 I was done, and I had to transition to the Ghana Law School. But I mean, like we always say, there's never a limit to learning, so I'm back. After the refreshing new courses that were introduced to the school, I mean the LLM programs. So I'm also now a student.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just sharing with him that I just left and he's now coming back. At some point, he went before I came. Now he's going after I have come. But what is the significance basically of this entire arrangement, the alumni homecoming? Why now? What is happening?
Okay, so as you are aware, under the distinguished leadership of Dean Achiguba and his exemplary staffs, lecturers and what have you, it had become necessary to have a conversation around persons who have been associated with the faculty, now the school, and to tap into their rich experience. And also the financial connection that these individuals have. And the whole idea is to help build the proposed complex.
Right. University of Ghana School of Law.
The complex. And the vision strongly is that with the benefit of all the persons who have been associated with the school, we should be able to put up such an impressive edifice. Already where the faculty is not big enough to accommodate the numbers. And in fact, if you look at the numbers now, from 600, we are dealing with almost 2,000 students associated with the school. And what it means is that definitely the classrooms cannot contain. If you are aware, you will notice that the master's program, that the national security one, that you had the likes of Biblolati and co teaching you, you will notice that you have to take that course outside Legon campus.
We did it on the city campus.
Yes, in fact, that's exactly where I'm actually, I went to.
Also pursuing.
Exactly. So it tells you that there is the need to respond to the growing demands of students by having the infrastructure that can accommodate them. And that's exactly what this alumni homecoming is supposed to, discuss. And I'm looking, the whole week it's been quite an impressive show. On Monday, the sword curtain was done.
The Chief Justice.
The Chief Justice, Her Ladyship, Justice Gertrude was there. Deputy Attorney General Tua Yebua, Honorable, was there. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana herself, she was there. Incidentally, she made a quite profound statement. She said when she was a student, Professor Akilakpa was the then Vice Chancellor. Incidentally, he was there to herald this sword cutting ceremony. And there were a lot of distinguished individuals who were there. The president of the Ghana Bar Association was there. I saw my own Professor Kwame Jan, he was there. Dr. Enusin, who is my natural resource law coordinator at the LLM level, he actually emceed the program. It was beautifully done. Thereafter, there was the sword cutting. You are aware that we're going to have a lecture program where we have two distinguished individuals, eminent jurists, coming to grace the conversation. We have his, I call him professor because he taught me my law of evidence. That is Justice retired Alan Brobe. He's still lecturing. He's a senior lecturer, law of evidence at the Ghana School of Law, teaching the practical aspect of it. When I was at the law school, that's 2012, my part one, he taught me the law of evidence. Incidentally, he's doing that discussion with another eminent jurist, Amonomoni. He was a justice of the Court of Appeal. Prior to that, he was the director of public prosecution, and he's been quite phenomenal. He actually taught me again criminal procedure when I was in the law.
So that's quite a stint that you've had.
Exactly. So today, I have two of my lecturers coming to actually have a conversation with us about the critical issues of the law today, vis-a-vis the 1992 Constitution. And it promises to be a very great event today. So I would urge as many people as can to make themselves available for this.
Is it restricted to alumni?
No.
I mean,
no. In fact, I want you to be there. Because you see, you have a huge platform, so you can carry the news. Right. I want your take, your usual editorial. After today's event, I want one editorial purposely
on the School of Law complex.
Exactly. You know, and let me thank the leadership at the School of Law, Dean Atiguba Professor, the able lecturers who have been assisting to make this vision a reality. And the other staffs in the school together have created the enabling synergy that is bringing this whole complex.
And the history, the significance, we all know what's the University of Ghana, Faculty of Law, now the School of Law, stands for.
And you know, if we want to start mentioning names,
obviously, we
won't finish this program. I mean, if you look at the kind of products that this school had produced, I mean, it tells you, at least the school had produced President of Ghana, just for the record. It tells you how great this school is. And
I believe former President Mills passed through
the
University of Ghana.
A proud one.
Now President Akufo-Addo.
He from the the University of Ghana. Yes. So you can just see that the school has been really great in shaping the national conversation, and that is why this homecoming, I would urge each and every one of us, our partners in the media, our friends, you and I.
Integrity Prosidamus. Yes. What's the theme, and how can people contribute?
You know, if you look at what shall I say, in terms of the building, we'll have a code where, if you want,
I believe we have that code. Can we put it on the screen as well, even as he looks?
So, I mean, the whole idea is investing in excellence. The school wants to be associated.
And that is it on
yes, that's the code. We need your financial contribution. And Ghanaians, consistent with our character and make, we give to causes that are wealthy. And building such a faculty or a school complex is one that generations will come and remember. But what is even more significant is that you, my brother Ben, what you can do is that you can actually take a whole complex and say, look, I want to build it.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So if you look at how the whole thing has been structured, everything had been costed as well. So when you go to a particular column, so for instance, if you come here, so you see administrative unit, how much it will cost to do it.
Right.
Administration 1. If you come to library, it's about 500-seater library and office area. 1.1 million. 1.16. So I'm
seeing some of them 154,000.
Exactly.
So if you feel you can do that, you take it up.
All you do is that you can just call Dean immediately after this program and say, oh, Dean, the library complex is 1 million. I'm taking it. I'm paying for it. At the end of the day, I want you to name it after Eduji. That's all. Or I'm doing it after this. I want you to name it after President Akufo-Addo or President Mills or anybody. Once the person has an association with the faculty. And the whole idea is to lessen the burden. Because if you know that just taking this, then it takes that cost away. It becomes easier for us.
What is the total cost of this project, though?
It's about $25 million.
Right.
Yes. And
which would be the equivalent of, let's say, about 280 million CDs,
absolutely,
300 million.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so with that kind of money, we should be able to do this. And it's going to be a school of excellence where there will be an interface between academia and industry. Like the course you did the last time, national security. Just look at the individuals who come to teach you. I'm sure these were persons that on today's program you hear their name.
Major General Kotia,
Bevlolate, and the rest.
All those in there.
And the rest. And if you pick these individuals and their contribution to the development of this country, suddenly come into classrooms to impact this vast experience and knowledge in a student, you can imagine the benefit to
it is
the
clear
country.
That this is something that we must all support. And I would even say you don't need to be someone who has, like us, and even like my senior Samselade Anyenine, whom I saw, who has also been pivotal in all of this. You don't need to be one of us who has passed through the system. If you understand what legal education means, you should be able to come on board. Whether you're a businessman or wherever you
that's the most important thing.
Support.
So I usually try to do a pitch. I'll call on Mr. Jose Kwame Despite Ofori Sapon, all the businessmen in this country to come together and let's get this project done in the shortest possible time. You know, usually projects like this, the more it delays, the cost overruns. So we want people to come on board so we can have this thing done, quickly as possible.
Well, thank you so much, Edwiji, for coming through the studio.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Edwiji Tamaklo is an alumnus of the University of Ghana, School of Law, and he joined us for this conversation. It's all about the 2023 homecoming. You're all invited, whether you're an alumnus or otherwise, or an alumna. Even if you are not, please come. Let's contribute towards a worthy cause. Putting up this educational center of excellence, the complex. Well, do stay with us. We'll be back with a lot more because Big Chef is coming your way. But before we get there, come experience Africa's biggest upcycle event coupled with live upcycling demonstrations and a thrilling drip. It's the third edition of the Ghana Digital Innovation Week, and it's ready to kick off. The Digital Transformation Center, implemented by GIZ on behalf of the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development in collaboration with MASHAF, Israel's Agency for International Development Cooperation, the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, and the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization, with the support of the ICT and the UNCDF, will bring together the digital ecosystem stakeholders on one platform to learn, share ideas, and network. The dates, relevant dates, 6th to the 8th of November 2023. The venue is the Accra International Conference Center. Time 9 a.m. daily. There will be over 5,000 attendees. That could include you. 50 exhibitors and over 40 insightful sessions to be led by ecosystem actors. The GDIW 2023 will be preceded by regional events from the 1st to the 3rd, which is tomorrow, of November 2023, in the Northern, Eastern, and Ashanti regions, respectively. Attendance is free. It's going to be both virtual and physical, so hybrid. Register now at www.gdiw.com.gh. Do stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back on the AM show. I wish I could have taken a break to drink some water. And you know, if I'm going to be drinking water, it's going to be Awake Premium Purified Water. We know water is life, but what kind of water are you drinking? Awake is premium water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. And guess what? We have the perfect sizes for all purposes. 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 milliliters for the heavy drinkers, 1.5 liters for those like me who always want more. But if you're thinking of something even bigger for your office or home, they have their 19-liter jar bottles, ideal for such situations. All you must do now is drink Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. So choose a bottle of Awake Purified Drinking Water today and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. The most heartwarming aspect for me, for every bottle you buy, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. That's indeed heartwarming. This is another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. For bulk purchases, just call 0262 351 251. This advert, remember, is FDA approved. But talking about drinking also reminds me of eating. And if you want to eat, you must eat right, eat well. Big Chef is back. Yeah, Big Chef. I'm a chef myself, but it's not. But it's all about the next season, the 3rd season of Big Chef, coming your way on Joy Prime. And who better to tell us about it than the anchor of that show herself, Michelle Agyapong. Good morning.
Good morning.
I like that good morning. It has a ring to it. But I'm hoping as you came here today, you brought some food.
Oh, don't worry. Your breakfast is sorted.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard her say it live on air.
Yeah.
In person, no kata. Else kata will happen. Michelle.
The English breakfast, anyone you want.
Ghanaian breakfast. What is English breakfast?
But you know, looking at you, I'm just thinking that in your suit and tie this morning.
No, think watch it. Don't think.
I'm a Prince Accra. I said me, I can give you.
Okay, on you. But let's talk about Big Chef Season 3. So you've had Big Chef. With the kids and all of that. Then we had the tertiary, and that was very exciting. Now we're in Season 3. Tell us a bit about what it's all about.
So Big Chef this time around has moved from being just a competition. Now it's also a unique platform where the budding chefs, if I should say, will also gain some, unique skills and also boost their confidence, because it's not just about you competing, but then we have renowned chefs who are the judges who will take them through some processes here and there. But
are we going to get some of those from the last time coming this year as well? The chefs who were...
Yes.
Some of them?
No, you mean the kids or our chefs? No,
I mean the judges. The chef judges.
Yes. So our judges will be there.
Okay.
From the kids edition, they'll be there. So they'll be taking them through everything they do. So if you're home and you're watching, don't just think that, oh, my child is just coming to cook and then that's it. That they will not just leave with what they came with, but they'll leave with some additions. So if before she was cutting this way or holding a knife in this way, the child moves, even if the child is not able to win at the end of the day, he or she goes home with another skill, an additional skill.
They would add on to their skill set. They will learn new things.
Preparing them for the culinary world.
And even if for nothing at all, they also have time to chill and do some.
Exactly.
What they have said. So it's all about. I wish I could actually be there, get to eat, chill.
Oh no, but if you have a younger relative who.
No, I'm not. I would say younger relative. We are talking about.
No, but if your younger relative is part, the glory and some.
It will rub off me. You have a point. You have a point. But in terms of this season, it's quite a while. It takes quite a while. The process is involved. What are your expectations? What can our viewers expect from Big Chef Season 3?
Big Chef Season 3 is like, it's not like, it's actually a plus of what we saw last year. You know, last year we saw a lot of creativity from the kids and the kind of recipes they came up with. I am hoping that, you know, as of now, we're still asking for interested persons to sending their videos. But I'm hoping, so far, the videos we've seen are encouraging. Looking at the kind of dishes the kids are making, someone actually prepared eto. That's my favorite food. And
Eto. Wow.
so they're not just coming to give us rice.
It looks like they're not coming to play. Oh.
Yeah. So if you're at home watching and you love to cook, make sure you're telling mommy, or if mommy is watching and you know that Kojo or Mansa loves to cook, just video them, edit it to 2 minutes, and then send to us. Make sure they're cooking, you know, their own thing, doing their own stuff there and there. Others made Indomie, but then in a different way, not the regular Indomie way.
Indomie with swag.
Indomie made in Harvard, you know. That's what they're making for us. Yes.
Wow.
So they're not just
academic
giving us
Indomie.
Yeah, so they're not just giving us what we already know. They're adding, you know, showing of their creativity, and then, you know, all of these things I say comes with the passion they have for cooking. And I think we should really encourage our kids a lot. I realized something during the COVID season.
I knew you'd go there.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
You know, so I was home when I'm like, okay, there's a lockdown, but some restaurants were operating. You don't have to go in to eat, but then the food will be delivered to you. If you're like some of the men, the bachelors, who do not have girlfriends to cook for them, and you have to order. So I think at the time...
These shots you are firing, please,
I am
the
not
bachelors,
firing.
don't... She decided to go on this course on her own. She's on her own.
But you know, at the time, the culinary industry really made some, you know. And so I think that if we have kids at home who love to cook and want to be chefs one day, we need to encourage them.
Definitely.
Don't always think about bankers. No, there are other things they can do. And I am going hard for the guys. I want to see more boys.
I was just about to say that, again, we should break out of that mold where we feel... My mom, because we were 3 boys, she brought us up, you know, cooking and stuff, so I can bake, for example.
Whoa.
You should be
we
careful.
have a date.
But the point is, don't focus on and think, oh, it's a boy, so as for him, he mustn't. It's a life skill. Cooking is a life skill. You never know when you may get caught up. And if you're stuck with the kids and mommy isn't around, that's one bit in there. Who can participate?
So any child between the ages of 8 and 14 years is eligible to
8 and 14.
Yes, 8 and 14 years is eligible to take part in the...
How many minutes? You've mentioned 2 minutes,
2 minutes, right? Yes.
Okay. 2 minutes. What's the number to send the videos to? So
the number to send the video to is 055 157 5757.
Could you go over that again?
Yes. 055 157 5757.
Okay, so 055 157 5757. That's a lot of sevens. 7 is a lucky number. Is there a deadline?
Yeah, so the deadline is on the 9th of November, which is just next week. So that you're sending your videos. You've had a number of them. Don't slack. Make sure that you're sending the videos for your awards. Look, I promise you, if your child is able to go through all the levels of auditioning and, you know, finally joins the competition, whether the child wins or not, so far as the child gets the chance to be in the competition, trust me, he or she comes home and it's not the same. I can say this, you know, beating my chest, I can beat my chest to say this, that the contestants from last season, you know, are doing so well. Okay. Especially the winner and then the first runner-up. They are the ones that I have watched closely. Okay. But aside that, the others are also doing so well. And I think it's something we need to...
I think if for nothing at all, it's a source of pride, you know, to make it to this point, to hone your culinary skills and all of that. So you're all invited. Join this crusade if you like. Let's cook. Let's have fun while cooking. It's Big Chef Season 3 with Michelle Agyapong. And if you're watching and your child, your ward is interested, do what is needed. 2 minutes, short video, send to that number 0551 575757, and you're good to go. Big Chef Season 3 is here. Don't miss out. Michelle, any final words?
Yeah, so my final words is please make sure that you send your videos. Deadline again is 9th of November. And again, the number is 055-157-5757. And good luck to all of you.
Right. Thanks, Michelle, for coming. Host of Big Chef on Joy Prime. But let me tell you about another program on that network. Your favorite TV game show in Ghana, Step Up, is back with another amazing season. This time, we're stepping up with Syntex Tank. Step Up with Syntex Tank will see contestants answer trivia questions to win cash prizes of between 400 and 6,000 Ghana cedis weekly and other products from our sponsors. So this season, for you viewing at home, you should watch out for the Syntex Tank question of the week and be the first to answer correctly via WhatsApp or SMS to the number 0508 338 888 and win incredible prizes from sponsors. The person who answers most of the weekly questions the fastest gets a 65-inch Samsung television at the end of the season. I'm jealous already. Step Up with Syntex Tank, it's a unique television experience. Step Up with Syntex Tank is sponsored by Bell Ice, MTN Momo, and Angel Cola. We'll be right back with more after the break. Welcome back on the AM show, and we conclude our conversations with the TAF College. Oh yes, you heard me right, TAF, but they say they are tough. What's tough about them? Well, we'll be telling you a lot more about this institution shortly. Joining us in the studio, Reverend John Okwe. Good morning, Reverend Okwe.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
Well, I hope you are too.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm good.
Right. TAF College. Now, you got me there because we're cracking a bit of a joke before we got on air. Tell us about this college. What have you been up to?
So, TAF College basically is the African Freelancers College.
Okay.
And it's a business school for creative people. So we realized that a lot of creative people go to school and learn creativity, a creative subject, but they cannot really monetize their creativity. So we decided to put a school together whereby you learn your skill, and then you also learn the business and soft skills. So we have a course that we partnered with an institution in London, and we came up with a freelancers course, and it comprises of the rudimentary principles of business, bookkeeping, accounting, marketing, branding. Then we also teach you the legal environment, business law. Okay. We also teach you artificial intelligence. We teach you
that kind of work,
leadership, and then we teach you the soft skills like emotional intelligence, critical thinking, problem solving, customer services, and the list goes on. So that's what we do for you in the first 3 months. We give you a boot camp of just resetting your mind and a mindset shift. Then afterwards, we delve deep into the creative subjects and we get busy.
And that brings me, now that you started talking about creativity,
yes.
Women in Creativity, the WIC.
Yes.
What's that all about?
So basically, what we do at TAF College is we have allocated 50% of our places for women.
50%?
50%. We try to get
50-50.
more. Exactly.
Right.
We want to get 50-50 in our school. So we set up an initiative called the Women in Creativity Initiative. But unfortunately, we still cannot get those numbers. We're still hitting 25 to 30% of our students. So now we've decided to create a whole standalone organization that would just focus on women in creativity, how we can get them into creativity. And we talk about the benefits. We'll do road shows and all sorts of things. And yeah.
Now, when is the next enrollment? I know this is something that you do at a certain point. You spoke about the 3-month period, but when is the next enrollment?
So it's for a whole year. You come up to our school for
it's year round.
Yeah, it's a whole year. Okay, so we are just about to graduate, finish the first year. Okay, and on January the 15th, and January the 3rd, in December the 15th, and January the 13th, we graduate our first cohorts.
January the 13th.
Exactly.
2024.
2024, and right now, it's ongoing. Enrollment is ongoing. So if you're interested in creativity, give us a call.
Apart from those subject areas you spoke of, what are the courses? Walk us through the courses you have on offer.
So the courses, as I said before, is split into two. You learn the business, entrepreneurial side of things, soft skills. And then we have the other ones like graphic design, photography, cosmetology, fashion. We do even real estate management. We teach our students how to be we teach them how to be a realtor. We teach them creative finances, financing of real estate projects. We teach them new build development so they can go in and build, we look at the bill of quantities. It's a very in-depth course. It's not like the normal, real estate course. And then we take them music production. We even do classical music production as well. Wow. We also do auto mechanics. So, it's...
Sounds pretty all-encompassing.
Very much so. Very much so. We believe that, there's a youth unemployment pandemic in Ghana and in the whole world. But, in Ghana, let's talk about it. And the way we believe that we could assist is by having a free tuition education, because a lot of people want to go to school, but they don't have the money to afford to even go and, upgrade themselves. So we decided that, why don't we create a school of excellence, okay? But then the barrier of entry, which is finances, will be taken away. And then we can offer people, this free tuition so that they can become masters of their own destiny.
So it's interesting because we have free SHS, some level of free education already. It has its own challenges, its own problems, but it is, it is in existence and it is running. But that is on the governmental level. I'm thinking of the micro level, a private institution like yours. How have you been able to do that? Offer some free education? Is it tuition? Explain to us how.
So
exactly
basically, I went to high school in London, and when I graduated, I had a scholarship afterwards to go and study in the States. So I had a free tuition scholarship that assisted me. And when I came to Ghana last year to set up Taft College, what happened was, I was wondering, what can I do to help people out? It was good. Actually, it was meant to be a fee-paying school. But then I remembered my background. I remember how God blessed me, with free tuition education. So I just said, I felt deep in my spirit, do something to assist, give back, continue the ripple effect I had when I was in Ohio with, Rod Postley's mother, who paid for my tuition to go to school. So I wanted to do the same thing and continue the legacy that was set. So we started this whole tuition-free education thing. It's been very, very challenging. We use it from credit cards to, we have one partner who's joined us, HAXA Foundation. They've been amazing.
I've heard of them.
You've heard about the HAXA Foundation. They came in here to sponsor 10 students. We've also partnered with them on another program called the Tech for Girls. We are training 15 girls in coding. Yes, so
exciting.
It's very exciting. We're trying to really emancipate women and get them out there and get them to learn more of a male-dominated jobs, try to get the women in there as well. So, so we partnered with Ambassador Swanika from, HAXA Foundation, and she's been so instrumental. And we can see the impact when people give to your institution, how it makes things better. So if we have one funder who has come on board and assisted us so much, could you imagine having 10?
If many more.
Exactly. Many more came on board like Ambassador Swanika. That would be super amazing.
We're pressed for time. We have to
That's
run.
Okay.
But how has this academic year been? And what number, for example, if people want to enroll, can they call?
The enrollment number is 0579
Okay.
006 6000. I'll repeat that again, 0579 006 6000. Or you can just go online.
0579 006 6000.
Yeah. Or you can go online. You can just visit us at www.taftcollege.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Reverend Okwe, for joining the conversation.
Fabulous.
You actually remind me of our former Speaker of Parliament. I'll leave it there. But Reverend John Okwe joins the conversation, and he is president of Taft College. Before we go, no matter your water needs, Syntex Tank has it all. Syntex Tank has the first to introduce double layer tanks, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Now, Syntex Tank is the first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now they've introduced to you the customer specs order, or the customer specifications order, which lets you order any color and any size of your preference. Syntex Tank gives you the longest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank offers you in Ghana. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Syntex Tank. We also have agents nationwide. All you have to do is call us on 0244 335 168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. But before we go, we need to celebrate. We are going to celebrate a few people today. Of course, Ellen White. I'm going to repeat this other time. You are an impact maker, one of the Joy impact makers. We celebrate you today. Happy birthday as well to Collins Adomako Mensah, Member of Parliament Efija Kwabre North from Ekosam and the rest of the squad. We celebrate you. Finally, happy birthday to my dear brother Abdul Sataro Isaka of GT Bank Ghana, Ring Road branch. As you celebrate another year of life, may Allah grant you success and fulfill all your dreams. It's from your sister here at the Multimedia Group. Happy birthday, Chairman, as she says. And that's the note. If you're celebrating your birthday or any special anniversary as well, we celebrate you. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akako. Look forward to tomorrow. But for now, Joy News Desk up next.